Chapter 1. Time is like a ruler, it measures civilization. Preface. Yisui, the protagonist, wakes up again, and his concept of time has long been blurred. He felt a little difficult to breathe, and the suffocation made his unclear mind even more confused. I only remember that my name is Yisui, and I am a dreamy failed author from Dongda in the 21st century on Earth. But Yisui doesn't feel good now. After a while, Yisui regained the sense of touch and tried to move his fingers. Through the touch on the back of his hand, he could feel the soft inner capsule he was lying on, which was like sofa leather. The feeling behind me gradually came back, and my spine and central nervous system were all normal. Apart from the difficulty in breathing, I felt fine. Well, Yisui had to admit that he was having some difficulty breathing. The dust in the sky settled to the earth, and more beams of light penetrated through the cracks. With this little light, he could see clearly where he was. A device similar to a hibernation capsule, although there are no tubes inserted into its body, and it does not have an oxygen circulation system. Bad review. He couldn't survive long in this hypoxic state. What the hell is going on? Where the hell is this? I just stayed up late to write, and then lay down. Wake up. And you are trapped in this crappy hibernation chamber? I have only seen this kind of hibernation capsule when I was looking for materials. Yisui is a galactic empire enthusiast who likes to boast about his research into politics, economics, and cultural concepts. Human words, cyber a euro understand brother. Once I got angry with someone and he said to me, if you have the ability, write a science fiction book yourself. So, this cyber-savvy guy who is also a nitpicker turned into a small-time online writer who failed in his career. Yisui searched for a long time in the inner capsule, but there were no buttons or switches, so he had no way to open the hatch. Yisui tried to raise his arm and smash the screen, but it wouldn't open. The pain in his hand sent a reliable message to his brain. How can this device be so strong? Yisui couldn't help but sigh. Moreover, his body's functions gradually returned and he gradually felt hungry. Finally, Yisui realized the reality of his time travel, and that traveling through time might mean he would die in such a depressing way. Moreover, the hibernation capsule was suspended in the air for some unknown reason, and he felt like he was in free fall. Yisui felt a strong push on his back. It was understood that the hibernation capsule had landed and stopped its free fall. But the lack of oxygen made him feel extremely uncomfortable physically. He felt hungry and weak in his limbs. He seemed to see the black and white impermanence. Suddenly a strong light hit the screen, restoring his consciousness a little. Yisui's eyelids were too weak to open, and then he felt something moving, but he had trouble reacting and fell into a deep sleep. Soon after, he heard a strange language, and suddenly its translation appeared in his mind. The remaining consciousness wanted to call for help, but found that he could not speak their language, but why could he understand them? Is this a superpower? The collection was successful. The coffin is not damaged. Do you want to open it? No need to open it, store it properly, we will return immediately. Coffin? Am I encountering a tomb robber? What should I do? Urgent. Yisui lost consciousness and fell into a deep sleep. At this moment, the small black screen behind his head suddenly glowed, and a few lines of Chinese characters appeared. The subject entered a state of suspended animation, the hibernation system started again, and continued to hibernate. Beep. Beep. Low on energy. Please replenish energy. Without energy, hibernation ceases. Yisui is on a desert planet covered with yellow sand. The violent sandstorm blew away everything on the planet with fury and abandon. The soil and minerals here have become desertified, and the planet's gravity is unbalanced. You can't tell the difference between heaven and earth here, and the amount of sand in the air is difficult to measure. The atmosphere contains almost as much sand as the land. Such a strange planet is not that strange in the universe. The planet is full of sand, has frequent huge sandstorms, and a temperature difference of more than 310 degrees Celsius, making this planet of no value other than scientific research. Even if its scientific research value may not be that high, it is mainly because it is close to the ancestral planet and has convenient transportation. Scientists don't need to go to the planet in person to conduct field research, they just need to be in outer space. By operating satellites and equipping them with observation equipment, it is easy to obtain all kinds of data that can be used to write papers. An ancient planet that has been devoid of life for a long time, although some species can survive in this environment. But this planet is located in the heart of the Daxia Alliance. It is one of the few planets that still retains its appearance among the Daxia Alliance's ancestral stars. And the unexplored beauty, at this time. Turn on silent mode, turn off all sounds, turn off the engine. Turn on the peptide negative nuclear ion thruster and turn off all electromagnetic equipment. A one-eyed man gave the order coldly. The man was dressed like a pirate captain, but he was driving a Speed B interstellar exploration spacecraft. Is this a different kind of cosplay? We are in the heart of the Alliance. Even if there are only a few scientific research satellites from the early centuries in outer space, this operation cannot afford any mistakes. Yes. The whistle disappeared, and the humming of the engine like the fluttering of bees' wings also stopped. The spacecraft was without power except for the central control room. The only remaining electricity was from the conversion of negative in electrons from the operation of the peptide negative nuclear ion thrusters. The spacecraft was filled with darkness for a moment. The visibility was extremely low and almost no light could penetrate into the atmosphere. The only light source on the spacecraft was the bright light of the display screen in the central control room. The spacecraft has no other moving parts except for the low power and expensive peptide negative nuclear ion thruster. The electrical spectrum of the peptide negative nuclear ion thruster cannot be detected by the scientific research satellites here. Even if a fleet happened to pass by, it would be impossible to capture their radio spectrum by casually detecting them out of boredom. Even if the fleet that could capture their peptide negative nuclear ion thruster spectrum arrived at full power, it would take a standard day. This was confirmed by their intelligence, and they obviously believed it without a doubt. Is there really such a thing here? The young man's patience was not as good as others. It doesn't matter. Even if there is no gain, they will still pay. Just treat it as a trip. A hot woman in a red windbreaker responded. What a Euro trademark as interesting is that she has a pair of fleshy wings on her back and a leather tail on her buttocks. She looks like a female devil, but unfortunately she doesn't a Euro trademark T have horns. In her opinion, this kind of mission that does not require fighting and has generous rewards is like a funded tour. Shut up, the pirate captain got angry. Turn off all the light screens and evacuate according to the original plan. Absolutely. Absolutely no mistakes. Do you know what we are doing? Idiots. Behind, there is a high possibility that there is the remains of an original human. Everyone looked serious and shocked, they knew all too well what this meant. A serious crime of the Alliance, stealing the remains of the original human race, all participants will be executed immediately without trial, all those who protect and instigate will be executed immediately without trial. Those responsible for the investigation and execution were directly dispatched from the local Daxia Alliance Royal Guard Corps and reorganized on the spot. Behind this serious crime committed by the Alliance is the prestige established by the Alliance through 13 large-scale genocide wars. This means that at least 13 large races with a population of over 100 trillion have set their sights on the remains of the original human race. The Alliance also exterminated 13 large races with a population of over 100 trillion, at all costs. The woman in the windbreaker asked, those people were slaughtered over and over again, what was the purpose? This is not something we should be concerned about. The pirate captain was not sure either, it is most likely for his genetically active offspring and certified blood, especially those that are still active. The woman in the windbreaker swallowed her saliva, her throat trembling, and asked, is this really the original human race? Does he still have active sperm? Don't think too much, don't touch it, so you can die more easily. The pirate captain warned, whether it's the Alliance or those buyers, they will hunt you down. What the buyer wants may not only be to dissect him, which is the reason for the Alliance to protect the body, but also the secret that the Alliance can rule the universe for 10,000 years. And all of this was heard clearly by Yisui who was in the storage room. Yisui discovered that he had the ability to listen to everything. Yisui is very panicked now. He has already imagined that he might be disemboweled and subjected to various biological experiments in the future, a scenario in which his life would be worse than death. Yisui must find a way to save himself. At this moment, in the cockpit, the pirate captain issued a final call to his dozen or so minions who had gone through thick and thin together. The pirate captain laughed heartily and said, my fellow pirates. Take your positions, leave here, and then take the huge sum of money and go into exile in the universe. Live life to the fullest. Live life to the fullest. Yes, everyone responded in unison. Chapter 2. Yisui opened his eyes again with great effort. But there was nothing but darkness, though occasionally there were a few faint rays of light in the cracks. Where on earth am I? How can I open this damn hibernation capsule? Suddenly I felt that the oxygen in the cabin increased. Yisui felt that he was conscious because of the increase in oxygen in the cabin. Yisui calmed down and tried to observe the outside. A container-like space, very small, with no lights, and the only light coming from the cockpit. The spacecraft was flying in sand and dust, and visibility was so low that it could not be seen with the naked eye. If you have a god's perspective, you can see a small spaceship in the shape of a four-sided pyramid. It is wrapped in a layer of soft color-changing light-absorbing metal, and light curtains that are extremely similar to the outer shell are distributed on both sides. Inside the cabin, there is a pure black and gold-plated square hibernation capsule that looks exactly like a coffin. In outer space, a space station accompanied by scientific research satellites and a spacecraft with a style that doesn't fit in are approaching the space station. After several adjustments, the spacecraft ejected its cabin and inserted it into the access port under the space station. Welcome Professor Wong. Professor Wong is really a handsome man with great potential at a young age. The two humanoid creatures greeted the visitor warmly, their expressions full of flattery. They released the comfortable gases that they usually cherish to increase the air pressure and create a suitable environment for the guests. Although their efforts were in vain, Wang Dong didn't care. Wang Dong is a researcher at the First Astronomical Research Institute in the capital of AM, born into the imperial capital Wang family of Xiwei Star, the administrative center of the Great Xia Alliance. He was a first-class citizen of the Great Xia Alliance from birth. Citizenship is more of a symbol of status and an honor, and it comes with corresponding rights. Citizenship is power. Citizenship is money. Citizenship is privilege. 99% of the people in the Daxia Alliance do not have citizenship, but they also have normal legal identities, which are issued by the administrative departments of the galaxies in which they live. In addition, Wang Dong is a derivative human, a human derived and cultivated through human genes, and has the ability to reproduce. Because of different purposes, the genetic stability and genetic direction of the derived people are different. The Wang family is a derivative family of the highest level, with stable genes, great potential, and good fertility. But the people of AM Star didn't know this. They only knew that Wang Dong had a great background, outstanding talents, and a bright future. Wang Dong's apparent purpose for coming here was to take away 16 scientific research satellites and the research results of 6 researchers over 13 years. Unfortunately, Niu Ma's research results will belong to Wang Dong, and they can only get the identity of a data analyst. But cattle and horses also have their advantages, such as an illusory promise, to be assigned to work on a living planet. 13 years of meaningless life in space almost drove them crazy. In fact, the purpose of his coming here was to supervise the theft group to find the remains of the original human race. This action was a plan of the 10 surnames including his Wang family, namely the 10 surnames given by God. Humans created derivative humans, so in the setting of derivative humans, humans are gods. Collude with another force, rob the other party, and then put the blame on the theft group and the alien forces behind them that are hostile to the Alliance. Such a vicious thing cannot be concealed, and someone must die. Sandstorm Star 1633 is located in the heart of the Alliance, only 2 star systems away from the Alliance's home planet. The remains of the original humans that were left behind were stolen for research, and the Alliance was determined to start a large-scale interstellar war to vent their anger. Therefore, my alien ally, you can only die hard, and I will enjoy your happiness for you. How's the detection going? Wang Dong asked in a very high tone. Everything is normal. All data of Sandstorm Star 1633 are normal. The gravity continues to grow and is expected to reach its peak tomorrow. It will complete another suction cup movement. A female humanoid creature replied. The male humanoid creature replied nervously, all data is mature and can be provided in 6 standard hours. He stammered again, if. It's okay. You have to finish what you start. I'll wait here for a day. Wang Dong said nonchalantly, as if it was a great reward. The Aram galaxy rotates so fast that a day and night last for 6 hours. There is also a small load ion detector inside my spacecraft. While the dust is settling, I will conduct another test and try to determine the horizon. The 2 humanoid creatures couldn't help but tremble with fear when they heard this. They did conceal one piece of data, the horizon estimation and detection of Sandstorm Star 1633. The planet experiences an unusual tidal phenomenon called the sucker motion every 2.5 years. The increase in gravity makes the planet like a suction cup, and the dust in the atmosphere will drop significantly. This is the best time to observe the surface and find the horizon. Time is running out. The suction cup movement will reach its peak tonight. They must leave. Otherwise, when the sand barrier blocking the light above falls, even scientific research satellites will surely detect such a large unidentified object. In outer space, Wang Dong secretly sent information to the outside world on the spacecraft. The 2 researchers were busy observing the peak performance of the suction cup movement and calibrating the height of the horizon. Its 4 satellites appeared simultaneously in the 4 directions of the planet's maximum latitude circle, and the comet in an elliptical orbit blocked the way right between Sandstorm Star 1633 and its star, blocking the light from the front. The sight of 2 moons in the sky can be seen from any corner of this planet. Wang Dong observed the ion detector on the payload and the electromagnetic detector in the satellite that was disrupted by the comet eclipse, and smiled, the timing is just right. Tengu, delivery to your door, get ready to receive it. At this time, 2 researchers in outer space, Gil Bellows and Maria Sheriff, both discovered an anomaly. A substance that has never been seen before, different from the sand and gravel of Sandstorm Star 1633, it appears in another form under the optical telescope. They speculate that it is a new dimensional iron. This planet has not had any visitors for countless years, so it's definitely not a relic. Then, well, no need to guess, it must be a thief. But in this god-forsaken place, what is there worth stealing? Stealing sand? They focused their eyes on Wang Dong and asked, Dr. Wang, what do you think we should do? Wang Dong looked at the starry sky boredly and responded impatiently. It's none of your business, just report it to the Public Security Bureau. The stealer ship is fleeing from Sandstorm Planet 1633, but they are out of the cover of Sandstorm Planet 1633's flowing sand layer. Even ancient scientific research satellites can capture their presence. But everything has been arranged long ago. There is a safe route to avoid detection, and there will be someone to pick you up once you escape from the M-star ecosystem. Suddenly, as the stealer spacecraft was about to take its planned safe route, they were attacked. Alert! Alert! The power system is 90% damaged. The left wing engine is 100% damaged. The entire spacecraft was spiraling downward, its power system was damaged, and someone was using a directional simulated stellar gravity device to suck it up. It was clearly a case of thieves attacking each other. Otherwise, how could they have attacked the power system so accurately? The woman in the red windbreaker had her breasts sticking out exaggeratedly high and her face was a little flushed. Obviously she was overly excited. This is when I'm remodeling her, adding some features, remodeling features, You know. The pink tongue licks the red lips, making an extremely seductive movement. If she hadn't considered that she was spinning 360 degrees in the air, she would have wanted to start a game and have fun. The pirate Captain Badra did not hesitate and jumped off the ship with his confidants and the coffin and escaped. This Speed B-type spacecraft has probably been targeted by them a long time ago. The woman in the red windbreaker was extremely belligerent and eager to try. Badra had a very high prestige, and he shouted, "Don't make trouble, move quickly." They each drove a modified airship, whose power system accounted for more than 90% of the airship's volume, and was a small airship specifically used for escape. The space was so small that Andre had to remove the seats and sit on the coffin to fly the airship. Strangely, they still haven't found the attacker yet. Only in the darkness of the universe, something unknown came shooting out. There is absolutely no heat or electromagnetic energy, and no trace of attack at all. It was like they had hit a meteorite themselves. Boss, it's strange, what on earth is this thing, is it teasing us? The devil was very excited, and the devil blood of the woman in the red windbreaker was surging uncontrollably. Andre naturally had some guesses in his mind, but he just didn't say them out loud. Black eats black, murders to silence witnesses, or there may be someone behind the scenes. After thinking about it, he patted the coffin under his butt and couldn't help but feel suspicious. Andreas, an activist, was also born in the satellite city of Z Mountain on the planet Am. The leader of the Star Tour Thieves group, an old space thief who has been roaming the universe outside the third frontier for 30 years. His actual age is over 100 years old. As we all know, the activists are not a long-lived species. The reason is that it has undergone a lot of modifications and has racial talents transplanted from other races. He is a famous pirate. Chapter 3. The bumpy ride was too much for Yisui to handle. He found himself being carried up along with his hibernation capsule by a man dressed as a pirate captain and thrown onto a small airship. The airship didn't even have a screen, so his body was directly exposed to the space radiation. Then the four pedal buttocks that shocked Yisui's world sat directly on Yisui's head. Then Yisui was spinning in the universe like a roller coaster, dancing. On the distant planet Am, the M Capital Patrol Ship 1002 received a mission and set sail from the starport. A man wearing a tight leather uniform and with a 3:7 hairstyle covered with hairspray. He has a very arrogant and domineering expression, and he is Inspector Doug Lin, who became the head of the Serious Crime Squad at a young age. Doug Lin is a second-class citizen of the Union, born into a family that grants citizenship at birth. In the M-Star life chain, a small place located in the heart of the Alliance with a long history but backward economy. Doug Lin's family background is already one of the best, a classic second-generation rich and powerful. You know, the hereditary autonomous lord and executive governor of M-Star is only a first-class citizen. The female detectives standing by were all attracted by the inspector's elegant and eloquent speech. With the full love of female fans, Doug Lin led the spaceship leisurely to Sandstorm Planet 1633. Then, I received a reply from Dr. Wang Dong from the First Astronomy Research Institute in the capital of M-Star. The spacecraft hit a larger meteorite and was completely destroyed. For a not-so-rigorous reason, Doug Lin immediately ordered the ship to return. The Euro trademark S right, Doug Lin was also one of the people behind this, but he didn't Euro trademark T no Wang Dong Euro trademark S identity. He was responsible for providing Andre with some cover to the best of his ability. Afterwards, Doug Lin could have easily shirked the blame by saying that he did not want to provoke the gangster Andre, which would have been a thankless task. When Dr. Wang Dong said they were hit by a meteorite, Doug Lin guessed that Andre and his gang used a clever way to escape. He couldn't catch him, so he just went back down the stairs. What do you say? Malfeasance, definitely malfeasance, but malfeasance does not warrant the death penalty. After all, Doug Lin let Andre escape in disguise, so he can't just ignore the punishment, right? As for dereliction of duty, all officials of the Daxia Alliance are like this. What they don't know is the wreckage of the thief's spacecraft drifted far away and was discovered by the commander of the M cruiser number 7722 during a cruise. They lied that they had defeated an unknown small group of space pirates. Afterwards, their leader was hung up and tortured by the patrol team. Andre tried his best but failed to shake off the enemy, and as expected, he was locked. The terrifying thing is that he hasn't seen the enemy yet. At this time Andre operated quickly, and saw the spacecraft repeatedly moving in the meteorite belt, and then the meteorites seemed to attack him consciously. The enemy was afraid of leaving traces and did not dare to use conventional weapons. I don't want to damage anything in the hibernation capsule. Yisui in the hibernation capsule felt dizzy from being turned around, but he didn't dare to make a sound because neither group was a good person. Suddenly I felt the hibernation capsule was opened, and it turned out that it could only be opened from the outside. Yisui felt uncomfortable with his skin exposed to the universe. Yisui tried to resist, but before he could react he was quickly stuffed into a strange bag. The force was so strong that it felt like my bones were going to be crushed. Liz, I leave everything to you, I'll cover you. Andre shouted loudly, and a little red heart flashed quietly behind him. Andre drove the airship and led the remaining four brothers to delay the enemy. The woman in the red windbreaker is named Liz Sika, and she has 1/4 of demon blood. She turned around and tried to escape, but after a while, she was forced to stop. More than 10 combat airships appeared around her and she was surrounded before Liz could prepare to fight back. An electromagnetic net shone over her and Liz lost her strength and consciousness. Liz and the airship were towed into a large whale-type starship. This spacecraft was hidden in a large meteorite, and every detail was concealed with extremely high technological content. They entered the spacecraft, and Liz was released from electromagnetic suspended animation, but was still under control. At the same time, I gave her an injection of inhibitor, fearing that she might awaken the demon race talent at this time. A man in a suit wearing a silver Tengu mask appeared. He pinched Liz's pretty face and asked with a gentle smile, "Where are the things? Where are the things you searched this time? The cargo is in Andre's airship. He never gave me anything. You fell into his trap." Liz betrayed the boss without hesitation, and it didn't put any psychological pressure on her at all. Silver Tengu man, in addition to charm, the demons also have an alternate dimension pocket. I take it out, A-Euro. The demon race's racial talent not only has a different space storage, but also a different space teleportation. Andre did not transplant the space teleportation, which would cause the space teleportation of both of them to become extremely unstable. And Andre couldn't find a second demon who was willing to let him transplant his racial talents for a while. especially demons like Liz Sika who have awakened 3 racial talents. Andre first stuffed Yi Sui into his other dimensional pocket, an action that would definitely be observed by the Silver Tengu gang. Andre then used the extra-dimensional pocket to throw Yi Sui into Liz Sika's extra-dimensional pocket. Silver Tengu could only observe that they exchanged items, but it was unclear whether the item being exchanged was Yi Sui. Maybe Andre threw something randomly and hid it himself, or teleported it away to another space. Maybe he threw it to Liz and hid it, or let Liz teleport it away. The main reason was that they couldn't imagine that a genius with 3 races talents but only 1/4 of demon blood would become a star slave of an old pirate rogue. Yi Sui felt as if he was being torn apart in the strange bag and tried desperately to struggle. Liz only used the power of teleporting dead things, but due to Yi Sui's resistance, the teleportation went wrong. The dusk slowly falls in the west, and the setting sun stumbles and rolls down the sky. They have all grown old, and the aging of civilization can be seen in the rust on every piece of iron. Xiashan Satellite City on the M Star, a simulated life planet abandoned by M Star for hundreds of years, the people here rely on simulation equipment left over from the last century to barely keep the space city from falling apart. This place has become the largest slum on the planet Am. The old starport of Xiashan Satellite City is the largest black market on the planet Am. The residents here make a living by picking up garbage every day. There are 3 sources of garbage, 1 items left over from the last century, 2 man-made garbage dumped here from other planets with life, and 3 production by the residents themselves. Look carefully, a white-haired girl wearing a full-body protective suit is picking up trash. Suddenly she seemed to have discovered life, and hurriedly searched, only to find the body of a 17 or 18-year-old man. Looking closely at his appearance, the white-haired Lolita was startled. He looks so much like a human. He must be the rich young master who was killed, and whose entire family was killed. The white-haired Loli didn't hear his breathing or heartbeat, so she tied up the male corpse with the mechanical tentacles of the mechanical bag. But master, since you are dead, please help me become rich and famous. Because humans have become the overlords of the stars, although the pure-blooded humans are half hidden behind the scenes. However, all alien races, robots, and artificial creatures in the universe are proud of looking like humans. Therefore, the more human-like they look, the more wealthy and noble they are. There is a toolkit exoskeleton that helps to walk, as if walking on flat ground, and leave the garbage dump. The white-haired Loli Bai Ling-Ian used a mechanical backpack to move Yi Sui to a dilapidated iron house. The paint was beyond recognition, falling off in large pieces, and the exposed surface was covered with rust. Bai Ling-Ian lights up the fire core mining lamp, a special fuel lamp. The raw materials are easy to find, the process is simple, cheap, and durable. The dim light emitted a warm glow, and slowly drifting smoke penetrated into the sky through the hole in the roof. Bai Ling-Ian used a robotic arm that looked like a prosthetic limb and was full of technology to lift the accelerating setting agent. He suddenly grabbed a handful, quickly wiped it against the wall, and then extinguished the fire core mining lamp. The wall seemed to be painted with fluorescent powder, flickering with a faint light. Although it was faint, it was enough. Bai Ling-Ian sighed slowly, rubbed her hands together, and spread them out to take a look. The bright and twinkling stars are in the palm of my hand. With a gentle blow, the starry sky comes into my house. This is Bai Ling-Ian a Euro trademark S racial talent Euro illusion magic. The clear eyes looked at the starlight filling the room and the light of the setting stars outside the hole. They shone together, and a smile appeared on the cool and handsome little face. Let's get to work. The girl was full of energy and turned on the light of the mechanical backpack. He controlled the mechanical arm, took out various tools, lifted up the boy's shirt, and marked a cross on his waist. The scalpel slowly approached, and Bai Ling-Ian was ready to cut his kidneys. Kidneys were the best organs to buy. A dose of knockoff Johnson & Johnson was injected into the waist to keep the kidneys alive. The stimulant activated Yi Sui's dormant body cells, and a large amount of hormones were transported to various parts of the body. The pain and the stimulant stimulated Yi Sui's nerves, and he woke up again in a daze. Yi Sui opened his eyes and saw that he was being torn apart. Bai Ling-Ian was blinking her eyes awkwardly at this moment. I feel regretful. I should have given myself an injection of anesthesia earlier. The two looked at each other for a long time, and the scene was very awkward. Chapter 4. Bai Ling-Ian put on her backpack and was about to run away, but Yi Sui was quick-witted and grabbed the mechanical arm. Bai Ling-Ian didn't dare to use any strength, for fear that Yi Sui's wound would bleed profusely and he would die. Because this person is really a person. I just slipped and broke her skin, and the blood test and the highest file included in the mechanical bag, that woman, special citizen. Similarity, up to 99.999999999% directly let the mechanical package be judged as a special citizen. If the mechanical bag AI had not been disconnected from the internet, it would have automatically sounded the alarm. If Bai Ling-Ian, an illegal resident with a deregistered identity, was really a second-class citizen, she would have dug up her own body. ETA Euro trademark S not the first time IA Euro trademark VE done this, and someone will take care of it anyway. But if the special citizen died on the land of Am, given the Alliance's protective nature, the 2.5 ecological chains of Am would have to be turned upside down. The Stardust ant nest needs to be filled with quick condensing liquid, and the M-star linear worm needs to be chopped vertically with a microlaser. There was no other way. Bai Ling-Ian could only smile and said timidly, Master, I am performing emergency surgery on you, do you believe it? Bai Ling-Ian's mechanical backpack seems to be omnipotent and can do everything. Although the robotic arm looks simple, it has a level of intelligence that is out of place here. Bai Ling-Ian easily operated the mechanical arm to treat his wound and successfully stopped the bleeding. Bai Ling-Ian apologized and said, Master, I really didn't mean it. I didn't know you had such a powerful background. Yisui said, don't call me master, where is this place? The A intelligent system of the mechanical package automatically detects the language is not included, it cannot be recognized, and the authority is insufficient. Drop. Drop. It is recommended to call the police immediately. Bai Ling took a deep breath, she was terrified and terrified. Is this the strength of a reincarnated player? I can't even recognize the normal language he speaks. No, I don't trademark T think I trademark VE ever heard of that language Why is it that even his language is different from ours, but I can understand him? If it is the AI in the mechanical backpack, it is really not included and cannot be recognized. Then he used a special method, such as racial talent. This is Xiashan Satellite City. Oh, this is Xiashan Satellite City, the second ring of the M-star ecological chain. The largest slum in the entire planet of AMU, a hopeless place. Bai Ling explained this, and Yisui thought that there should be some resentment in her tone, and it shouldn't be so nonchalant. After all, a child born in a slum will definitely have some resentment. A planet travels between the star and the satellite city of Xiashan, and this is another solar eclipse. It didn't take long, less than half an hour, and the sky was bright again. Bai Ling suddenly realized something, stretched out her mechanical arm to support the ground, did a handsome backflip, and hid away. With just a sniff of her delicate little nose, she knew what it was. It extended two robotic arms, grabbed Yisui and ran away. He jumped in the air, supported himself with a mechanical arm, and landed steadily on a dilapidated crane at the foot of the garbage mountain. This thrilling jump woke Yisui up. He asked awkwardly, what are you going to do? Before Bai Ling could answer, the RV was blown away with a bang. This is... Yisui was a little frightened. There was an oil leak, and I don't know what it mixed with, causing a chemical explosion. Bai Ling couldn't explain the reason. Is this the experience of this white-haired loli? Or is it the mechanical backpack she carries with her? Later, Bai Ling brought Yisui to the backup hiding place, where there was a Ferris wheel lying on the ground. Under Bai Ling's gaze, Yisui carefully finished a can of synthetic beef and a pack of Energy Creek biscuits. Yisui kept wondering what Bai Ling wanted to ask him for. After Yisui woke up, Bai Ling did not hurt Yisui, but treated him with courtesy. But Bai Ling just didn't speak, which made Yisui very upset. I had no choice but to ask, why did you save me and give me food? What exactly do you want me to do? Okay, it's a bit blunt and straightforward, but it's very suitable for Bai Ling who has little social experience. I want you to take me away from this place. Bai Ling promised, I can be your maid. Yisui was stunned. He himself didn't know how to leave here. But Yisui knew that she, like those who stole his hibernation capsule, thought of themselves as some kind of original tribe. I am a human being and have nothing to do with the original race. But Yisui did not explain his identity, because if he made the best of a bad situation, he could still survive. Once exposed, what if this white cat loli wrapped in a round chemical protective suit is torn in half? Why should I take you as my servant? Yisui looked up a little guilty, and then said this in a pretentious manner. But in the eyes of the little Lolita, he is just a top young master who can decide the life and death of thousands of people with just one sentence. The young man from a wealthy family, who was even more arrogant than that woman, raised his head at a 45-degree angle and looked at people through his nostrils. The words seemed to be saying, what kind of BD are you? How dare you be my maid? This taste is just right. Strong and authentic. This is the taste of not treating people as human beings. No, in the legal sense, Bai Ling is not considered a human being. How the Daxia Alliance's laws were determined specifically will not be discussed here for now. And now that Bai Ling has been cancelled, she is even less worthy of Yisui. If you use it as a toilet for the young master, he will complain that your mouth is too small. Master, please don't despise me. My identity has just been cancelled, which is not too lowly. Bai Ling said her identity with a look of shame on her face, so a family of the capital of Xiwei Star. Yisui nodded weakly. Where is Xiwei Star? Although Bai Ling immediately climbed up the stick, Bai Ling, greet the young master. Currently, Yisui has only seen Bai Ling, who is still communicable and has no ill intentions. Regardless of whether I can take her away or not, I want a trademark T suffer any loss if I coax her. On the contrary, you can eat a lot. For example, this can of synthetic beef looks like a pile of mud, but it tastes surprisingly good. My name is Yisui. I don't like having maids, but you can follow me. If possible, I will help you leave here. At this moment, Yisui said to himself, if I really have some special identity, I will definitely help you. Bai Ling looked very happy, and then happily prepared a set of bedding for Yisui. Yisui was arranged to lie on a bed made of 4 sofa leathers. The bed was very clean, had no peculiar smell, and was spliced a euro with a special fiber. Bai Ling stood aside, with her head lowered, and her expression seemed strange. Yisui saw that Bai Ling had not left, and 2 conspiracy theories popped up in his mind. One was to examine Yisui's body while he was taking off his clothes to further confirm his identity. The other one wanted to attack Yisui while he was taking off his clothes and was off guard. Yisui kept looking at Bai Ling, and seeing that Bai Ling didn't look up, his face became excited, as if he was eager to try. Yisui called out, Bai Ling. Ah! Bai Ling finally raised her head, a little unresponsive. Yi Sui asked in a serious tone, "Why don't you go out?" In fact, Bai Lingyan had been hesitating whether to step forward and warm the bed. Just when I had prepared myself mentally, I was driven out by Yi Sui. It seems that there is still a bit of dissatisfaction. Chapter 5. In the AMU galaxy, the night in Z Mountain is only 3 hours long, which gives Yi Sui enough time to take a short rest. Yi Sui had nothing to do, so he began to think about the economic, political, and cultural structure of Z Mountain and learn about the history of Z Mountain. I asked Bai Lingyan to find some books to read, but Bai Lingyan seemed to have no idea what a book was. So Yi Sui used listen to everything to read the word book back to her. Then she immediately understood where to find a soft screen and an electric display screen. Then she combined the soft screen and the electric display screen together and connected it to the huge mechanical backpack on her back. After the robotic arm fiddled with it for a while, the display screen finally responded. Some words began to slowly emerge. Seeing these words, Yi Sui was stunned at first. Then a surprise welled up in my heart. He could understand these words effortlessly. At this point, Yi Sui finally confirmed one thing: the superpowers I possess are far more than just being able to understand other people's languages and making others understand what I say. He can even read various languages. The text displayed on this screen at this moment is a piece of history recorded in the language of the Atavese and Shiibi people. Emu means mother in Activese. Because of the rotation of Aram and the movement of stars, only the northernmost point of Aram, which accounts for more than 1/12 of the planet, can experience day and night changes. While other areas are all night, the only difference is between early night and late night. This led to the concentration of population in this area. The ancient Atavese occupied the best environment and built the largest and only city on the planet M City. Xiashan Satellite City is a city built in outer space. When it was at its most prosperous, it was a giant city with 27 supersized administrative districts and 1/6 of the population of M-Star. Even though it does not have independent industry and agriculture, the satellite city's prosperous commerce and entertainment have made its GDP rank second for a long time. Second only to the capital of the M-Star Autonomous Region, M-City. This is the result of deliberate suppression by the M-Star Administrative Department. The Activese people have an extremely paranoid passion for space and are madly immigrating to satellite cities. This paranoia comes from the second interstellar expedition of the human race. When the fleet passed by, a manifesto prompted the space-loving Activese to overthrow the old government. It was incorporated into the Daxia Alliance, became the 13th affiliated tribe, and formed a vassal army. Therefore, the Activese people are deeply rooted in the Daxia Alliance and are a race with a relatively good living environment. However, all the potential Activese have left M-Planet. AM also became an autonomous planet of the Activese people, with the Activese High Priest serving as the autonomous lord and administrative governor. The Activese are very proud of the achievements of their ancestors and call themselves an old civilized race. But there are other ethnic minorities in AMU Star, the Kaka and the Ichika, because the construction of the base of the space elevator to target the satellite city has encroached on their land and homes. The Activese were civilized people and did not rob the primitive people, so they moved them to Z Mountain and became early inhabitants. The Kaka people are known for their rough lifestyle and strong sense of association. In addition, the demolition provided strong financial resources and a common goal of resisting the economic aggression of the Activese. They became the biggest gang in Satellite City. The Activese, who claim to be civilized people, cannot tolerate their violence and barbarism. History is similar and has the same sad story. The Yazhika people finally caught the last train of civilization and served as cheap labor during the development of the satellite city. Exploitation by the Activese above and oppression by the Kakas below made their lives difficult. It is well known that the Activese are a short-lived species, living only about 35 to 40 solar years. At the same time, they also have reproductive difficulties because, due to environmental reasons, the Activese have weak kidney function. After entering space, kidney function weakens more rapidly. Therefore, there is a great demand for kidney transplants, and the Kaka and Yazhika people, who are of the same origin, have become the largest source of kidneys. The weak Yazhika people have become the most important place for the human body to nourish the kidneys. There was once a rampant kidney-cutting campaign against the Yazhika people. Kaka gangsters were so bold as to kidnap several Ichika people in broad daylight at the central shopping mall and cut off their kidneys manually on the spot. The live broadcast across the entire league made the Activese, who claim to be a civilized race, lose face. Thanks to the advanced medical technology in the satellite city, a large number of the one-kidney patients of the Yazhika people are equipped with prosthetic limbs. As a result, their fighting power soared, and the same bad fate made them form a powerful alliance for a short time. First, the Kaka thugs who had directly cut off their kidneys were subjected to crazy revenge. Next came the upper class of Activese people who had used their kidneys. Their businesses, shops, clubs, and other industries were all affected. For a while, zero-yuan shopping became popular in Xiashan. Xiashan Satellite City became the place with the worst public security on the planet Am, and subsequently the tourism industry declined and businesses went bankrupt. No one is a winner except for the medical companies that are making a lot of money. The Kaka people adhered to their traditions and refused prosthetic limbs. In the end, they could not withstand the heavy casualties, but they continued to resist with slogans. Even if the Activese are civilians, they are still respectable people. They simply didn't bother to understand what the conflict was about, they only knew that after the war between the Kaka and Ichika peoples, kidney prices dropped. Because the Yazhika people have no money, they have to sell their kidneys for transformation. The Yazhika people have almost completed the transformation of their entire tribe, including the elderly, children, women and children. They became increasingly hostile to the superior activists and the Kaka who oppressed them. The Kaka people blamed the activists for occupying their land and making them homeless. They were angry that the Ashika people had taken away their jobs, bankrupted them and turned them into slaves of the overlords and priests. The Kaka people have a very traditional patriarchal hierarchy and ethnic sacrificial system, and the clan leaders and priests are the upper class in the Kaka tribe. The activists people showed no sign of restraining their contempt, and were even more hostile towards the two tribes' actions in destroying Mount Z. He didn't care about his own need for kidneys, and his hatred for the suffering that exploitation brought to the two ethnic groups. The three races are incompatible, and their hatred is growing deeper and deeper, to the point where either the problems have to be solved or the people with the problems have to be solved. But under the control of the activists, the government's solution from the beginning was the Dominion authorities dispatched elite police officers to launch a vigorous gang eradication operation, Operation Bloodstorm. Bloodstorm is a unique and violent solar wind phenomenon on AMU. When the movement of stars is abnormal, the place with light will be hit by very strong solar wind from the star. The ancient Atavist tradition was to hide in a land of eternal night to avoid the light. As the name suggests, since the Bloodstorm began, the Kaka tribe has been severely hit. The revenge of the Kaka people was even more brutal. All the informants were forced to lose their families. In order to collect evidence, the authorities allowed this to happen. In the end, it started well but ended badly. However, the parliament controlled by the activists people came up with a big move, passing the prohibition on illegal modifications against the Ichika people. As long as the Ashika people do not, cannot, resist, there will be no oppression, right? This classmate is a bad boy. Just bear with him and everything will be fine. In order to strictly implement it, the army was even dispatched into the satellite city. In the name of illegal prosthetic modification, Ashika people were arbitrarily arrested or even shot to death on the streets. Then take out their organs, like the other kidney. But at the same time, many Kaka people and other ethnic minorities were accidentally injured, and even their own activists people were severely harmed. The racial struggle was officially brought to the surface, as naked as a prostitute posing in a brothel. Racists have come up with extreme slogans such as Ziation of the Kaka people, Ziation of the Ashika people and Ziation of the activists people. Violent independence movements and armed riots explicitly directed against the authorities broke out. Political manipulation, gang feuds, racial struggles, $0 shopping, drug trafficking, prostitution, robbery, human trafficking, and almost all the criminal activities you know are here. The once prosperous city has become a city of sin, and it is no longer clear who is right and who is wrong. But Activists is the master of this dominion, and the autonomous parliament officially has a majority vote advantage. The legal status of Z Mountain was stripped, and the space elevator and gravity targeting were announced to be dismantled. Although the elevator was not dismantled in the end, the gravitational anchoring was cancelled. The activists were building a new outer space immigration ecological chain, while Z Mountain was drifting alone between the first and second ring ecological chains. It has become a garbage disposal site for various ecological systems and a place of exile for criminals and the poor. The Zietian Old Port, once the largest star port on the entire planet Am, has become the largest black market on the planet Am. The hated and humiliated activists people were unwilling to bear the crime of massacring other races. So Z Mountain was given to the Kaka and Yazhika peoples, but it was just a dilapidated Z Mountain without a future. In this way, the activists announced the loss of the Zietian satellite city. But the people there thought they had won independence, not knowing that they were heading towards destruction. Without the blood transfusion from M-Star, the food here can only be smuggled in. It is very expensive and not tasty. The industry was almost shut down, except for a certain type of entertainment industry. Everyone was unemployed, except for prostitutes. Everyone is a scavenger, and everyone is a robber. The exit of activists does not mean the end, but a complete collapse of order. They don't have the ability to produce on their own, and the activists won't let them be self-sufficient. The people of activists must watch the collapse of Z Mountain and watch those unruly people suffer a fate worse than death, in order to wash away the insult to their so-called civilization. The upper echelons of the three tribes also left, and they were even able to dance at the same party, as if the previous struggles had never existed. So who is suffering? Chapter 6. Wang Dong's spaceship was not in a hurry and finally returned to the Wawan Star port outside the second ring of M-Star. The well-organized data and the prepared templates can be simply combined, and then a few people can be found to process and polish them. It can be published in Future, the largest scientific research journal in the Alliance, and is expected to be approved soon. At this time, Wang Dong appeared in the Supernova building in a simplified space jump machine. Those who were waiting had long been accustomed to it, and would quickly applaud when they heard the sound of space being popped like a bubble. Wang Dong first released the internal pressure, and a large amount of water dripped onto the expensive special craft floor. The activists researcher who was serving nearby hurriedly picked up a bucket and sprinkled water on the ring, and the water made a sizzling sound on the ring. After a few weeks of spilling, use buckets to slowly pour the water in a circle. The purpose of this behavior is naturally to prevent uneven heating due to the order of cooling, which would cause damage to the airtightness. The question is, why not use more efficient and lower-cost AI machinery to cool down? Naturally, Wang Dong is happy to do so, in this civilized era where AI labor is abundant and surplus. Only by making people do stupid things can he show his wealth and power. After several repeated operations, the temperature of the jumping machine finally reached normal temperature, and Wang Dong got off the jumping machine with the help of the staff. He skillfully greeted the vice president of the research institute and others who came to greet him, and listened to them praising him, smiling without saying a word. In the era of big AI, big intelligent machinery and fully automated production, there is ample surplus labor for machinery. Even during the construction of Z Mountain, the Yazhikod people did not really have their own concrete and steel bars. They just have to spend their brain power and energy to supervise and manage AI's work. When necessary, it is even necessary to wear an exoskeleton to work in places where AI is difficult to construct. After the dance, Wang Dong did not meet the person he wanted to see, although he attracted many ladies from famous families, some of whom had made appointments. Everything seemed normal, but Wang Dong knew that no matter how normal he pretended to be, he would never escape the Alliance's search and torture. At this time, an old gentleman with rashes all over his face walked towards Wang Dong. Wherever he passed, everyone made way for him and their eyes followed him to Wang Dong. The female companion who was sitting next to Wang Dong and enjoying a drink was wearing a long white gauze skirt that dragged on the ground, which made it difficult for her to move, but she still quickly stood up and saluted. But Wang Dong sat in his seat with no intention of standing up and stretched out his hand. After the two men shook hands, the old gentleman John Joe Gris sat down. Wang Dong was about to respond to his conversation with a smile on his face, but the old gentleman looked at the standing girl and said, "Let me borrow your male companion, Pearl of the Bird family. Look, you are sweating all over. You can take a rest and change into some light clothes, girl." The girl knew that they were trying to chase her away, so she stood up and left. Wang Dong knew that this was a response to his previous show of power, but Wang Dong didn't care. Wang Dong questioned, "How can such a bad guest chase away other people's dancing partners right at the beginning? Didn't you see that I might have a wonderful night?" The old gentleman smiled, but ultimately did not respond, and continued to chat about other things. Those who have good eyesight have long distanced themselves from them. After pulling for a while, the old gentleman couldn't help asking, "When will the approval document come down?" Wang Dong smiled and shook his head to indicate that he was not clear about this matter either. "Okay. Please remember to let me know if you have any news. The young master needs someone to stay with him." John Joe Gris waved his hand and left. Just like that, he left here. In full view of everyone, Wang Dong's expression remained unchanged. Wang Dong was on the top floor of a teleporting business building, and the building started a universe teleportation. Coming to the Xiwei star system, the largest companion star of Xiwei is Wenkuxing. In an antique room, there sat two men who looked like scholars, wearing long gowns and square scarves on their heads. The decoration of this room is the ancient style that is popular in the Alliance. The so-called ancient style does not refer to the ancient decorative style. It's a proper noun. It is this kind of screen, banana tree, green bamboo, small and exquisite windows, expensive handmade solid wood floors, and the armchair carefully carved by a master. In addition, the table was decorated with exquisite cups, bowls, porcelain pots, and a plate of white jade chess pieces that were naturally produced from the ancestral star. A graceful and pretty woman lowered her head and calmly held an exquisite spittoon. A man playing chess waved his hand lightly, and the beautiful woman knelt on the ground, raised the spittoon and caught the spittoon from the opposite side. Wang Dong, sitting on a chair to one side, asked, "How is the situation? Is everything going well?" "Lost," said the spitting man lightly, and then continued playing chess as if nothing had happened. It seemed as if this matter was of no importance to him at all. How could it be lost? Wang Dong couldn't help but frown when he heard the news. But he also forced himself not to show panic, and even if he was really panicking, he had to pretend to be calm. "It's lost, it's lost. I told you a long time ago not to choose Andre's thief group. Their message is unclear, dangerous, and fraught with hidden dangers." Ayuroi, the man who was playing chess, responded with a look of disdain. In fact, he was just looking for an excuse for his own incompetence. Don't look at him pretending to be calm, in fact, he was more panicked than anyone else. Wang Dong remained silent. After all, it was he who chose the Andre Thieves gang, and it was he who wanted to rob the gang. What's the Alliance's reaction? Wang Dong asked after thinking for a while. The Alliance has not responded at all so far. At this time, the man sitting on the other side playing chess looked up and said, "It seems that they are completely unaware." Wang Dong was surprised, and he even began to waver in his heart about the mystery, power, and omnipotence of the Alliance. At this time, the spitting man raised his head and said, "Maybe that person is alive." Alive? Wang Dong couldn't sit still and stood up to ask, "What are you talking about?" The chess player also stopped looking at the spitting man. Evidence. Demon Liz felt that the space was strange during the interdimensional transmission. We deconstructed her space and confirmed that the person was alive. There was a constant silence, and finally Wang Dong couldn't help asking, "Where might you have found him?" "Z Mountain," the spitting man named a place. "Are you sure?" asked the man playing chess. "It's absolutely true," the spitting man assured. The man playing chess finally calmed down, picked up a chess piece, and put it down. They all knew that the reason they were able to appear here again was because the masterminds behind them were still trying to make a last-ditch effort. He said, "Let Z Mountain be in chaos. Let the Kaka and Ichiko rebel, and let the Atavis be busy. The messy it is, the better until we get this over with. Let the alliance of all races provoke the alliance at the fourth border, and let the demon race's ancestor come out of seclusion and claim that he has made a new breakthrough in his bloodline. Assassinate the queen of the elf tribe and put the blame on Daxia, so as to create trouble for the Daxia Empire's allied diplomacy. The deployment is under our control. The third patrol fleet group is beginning to approach planet AMU. When necessary, we will fight to the death. This is the heartland of humanity. We are all abandoned. This is a risk, but it is also an opportunity. What a living pure-blooded human means to the Alliance, you two and the forces behind you must know better than me. Note, the Daxia Empire is an alliance empire formed on the basis of the Daxia Alliance, by contacting super-large races close to humans such as the elves and liquid races, as well as many small and medium-sized vassal races. Note, the Patrol and Stability Fleet Group, that is, the Patrol and Stability Maintenance Fleet, is the second-line security force for various ethnic groups under the Great Xia Empire. Note, the fourth border, the Daxia Alliance divides the Daxia Alliance's sphere of influence into 5 regions through the first, second, third, and fourth border lines and the Hinterland Cruise Line, the first, second, third, and fourth border universes and the Hinterland. It will be divided into inner and outer universes according to the degree of its rule. Chapter 7. After Wang Dong returned to AM Star, he went to a secret space through consciousness transmission and shadow projection. And the person he met was the one wearing the Silver Moon Tengu mask. This kind of secret space is not secret at all, because the technology was obtained by the Daxia Alliance by cracking the racial talents of the Sukshuan clan. The only use of this secret space is to increase the difficulty of investigation. Wang Dong still has the cold and elegant demeanor of a traditional aristocratic family kid. He asked knowingly, "What's the situation?" He got away. That stinky bug sold out his men and ran away. The man in the silver Tengu mask made an angry expression. Oh. At this moment, Wang Dong was very dissatisfied with his attitude. Wang Dong had already planned to kill him after he had used him up. Detailed information, accurate time, ambushes from all sides, several times the manpower, and technological weapons that are 2 levels higher than the enemies. I personally came out to give you a heads up, but how come you failed? When the man in the silver Tengu mask heard this, he dared to show his anger. Wang Dong was really angry and could never be tamed. The Wang family can't support a group of interstellar pirates, and humans can't support 10 derivative human families. You are just a dog of my Wang family. Without me, how can you become the largest interstellar pirate in the universe outside the second border, the moon-swallowing heavenly dog? Why? Is it your ability? Wang Dong sneered coldly. Your skill is the barking of a dog. Come and bark for me to hear. The silver moon Tengu was suddenly very scared and dared not show his teeth anymore. But the look in Wang Dong's eyes indicated that even if you bark a few times today, we are not done yet. Then the silver moon Tengu stretched out its front legs, shrank its hind legs, and lay on the ground. The body is covered with hair, and the mask falls off, revealing a dog's nose. He leaned forward, rubbed his head against Wang Dong's hand, and wagged his tail hidden in his clothes. Learning to bark like a dog. Woof woof woof. In Z Mountain, Andre, who had luckily escaped the disaster, returned to his hometown after a long absence. At this time, Andre was also tied up by a group of Kaka people and brought to a relatively clean nightclub. There was no crazy music, no seductive dancers, only the dust on the dance floor and booths, and people lying all over the place. Andre! How dare you come back? An old man from the Kaka tribe, who was about to die, pointed at Andre with a trembling finger. No, you are not Andre. It is impossible for an activist to live that long. The old man began to suspect that he was becoming senile. Andre ignored the old man, and the thugs took Andre into a very clean room. Behind a flat-backed desk made of cow bones in the room is a tall and majestic man with graying hair, but his eyes still have a strong vitality. Andre saluted him and said, "Dear Mr. Kakazillo, the rebellious son of my hometown, Andreas salutes you. Kakashiro is the only patriarch of the Kaka people who remains in Z Mountain. He is the person with the highest status and prestige in Z Mountain. He led the Kaka people to maintain the existence of Z Mountain by relying on the instruments that were left over and not completely damaged. He could have embraced a decent, wealthy, and civilized society, but he was willing to stay here and suffer with his fellow people. Andre, why did you come back here again?" Kakashiro asked, "Are you looking for death?" Andre instantly opened the shackles and subdued several thugs in the room. Of course there is a big business to discuss with Mr. Kakazillo. Bai Ling found a dilapidated hovercraft. The mechanical backpack was fully functional, 8 mechanical arms extended, and began to repair the hovercraft. Mechanical backpack is really omnipotent. Can you play it without cutting it? Yisui, the biggest feeling after traveling through time was Bai Ling nearly omnipotent mechanical backpack. Although a bit dirty and worn. But being able to do everything, is this the technology of the future? Just as Yisui was sighing, Bai Ling had already repaired the hovercraft. The two got into the car and drove towards the Xiashan Old Port. The former Xiashan Starport is the Old Port. It is built in outer space of Zone 3 and connected by the Starport Electromagnetic Rail Rapid Assembly Channel. It can not only operate electromagnetic levitation trains, but also provide upward power for private levitation vehicles. Now the only thing left on the expressway is a suspended magnetic chain that can travel in both directions. This will allow the residents of Z Mountain to go to Starport to trade on the black market. Along the way, dilapidated scenes kept passing by the car windows. Buildings collapsed, tall buildings crumbled, and broken metal fragments and parts were scattered all over the ground. Even though the activists withdrew from Mount Z, their needs still exist. Although cloning factories can mass-produce organs to meet demand. However, in this era, how can you show your wealth if you don't use the money to do something stupid? You can see a clear checkpoint far ahead, which is obviously a toll station. Several Ichika people, who had completed half-body prosthetic transformation, stopped them with a forward pressure pulse gun. The brand and type of this gun are unknown, but it should be handmade. Bai Ling immediately covered her head and put Yisui into a high-density fiber bag. He said to Yisui, sentinel of the Yashiko tribe, don't say anything, I will handle it in case of any trouble. When the Ichiko sentry saw Bai Ling Ian's extended mechanical arm, his expression relaxed and he asked, what are you going to do? Old port, black market. Bai Ling Ian answered in an electronically synthesized voice. What are you doing? The Yashiko sentry asked as usual without being too surprised. Bai Ling Ian signaled to Yisui in the back seat, I just caught ABD from the Kaka tribe and I'm going to sell it for a good price. The sentry immediately showed an admiring expression on his face, kid, don't be fooled. I'll cut it for you and I'll charge you for the labor. The sentry was eager to try and wanted to cut Yisui into pieces and sell them for money. Bai Ling Ian quickly refused, those merchants only want to be alive and clean in order to sell at a good price. If they get bumped and bruised, it won't be beautiful anymore, you know. The sentry also smiled strangely, and then reminded, then you will have to pay 2 tolls and 2 bridge fees. It seemed that the sentry had approved it, but if Bai Ling Ian agreed immediately, it would inevitably arouse the sentry's suspicion and cause unnecessary trouble. Bai Ling Ian deliberately bargained and said, are the bastards of the Kaka tribe considered human beings? The sentry replied with a smile, if you chop it up, it won't count as a human being. Bai Ling Ian successfully brought Yisui to the suspended magnetic chain to line up. After waiting for half an hour, it was finally their turn. Yisui looked around the car and felt that the sense of technology was not strong. It's just a relatively tall building, with a group of gangster sentries with guns and modified bodies. Andre and his Kaka tribe thugs with guns were waiting in front, and they did not dare to search openly. Andre's mission is to capture Yisui and trigger hatred and war between the Kaka and Ichiko tribes against the Actives. Reassemble the former space elevator and directly lead the 2 tribes to invade the city of Emu. Use a civil strife to cover their tracks and delay their discovery. Give them more time to escape and run further. Yisui was about to enter, and those eyes seemed to be able to see through everything, and he immediately saw the hidden Andre. Whispered, oh no, we've been ambushed. Bai Ling Ian immediately became nervous and asked an idiotic question, what? You still have enemies? Yisui replied, otherwise, how do you think I ended up like this? Bai Ling Ian immediately made a prompt decision and handed over complete control of the hovercraft to the mechanical backpack AI, then turned and escaped. Andre had been observing here and saw an unusual hovercraft. Using the racial talent of the spiritual pupil transplanted in his left eye, he was able to immediately see Yisui through the car window that could block heat, electricity, and light. Immediately call the soldiers with guns around to come forward. Anyway, these gangsters who were all educated in the womb cannot recognize the original human race. Bai Ling Ian turned on the power of her mechanical backpack, sneaked through a poor sentry and took away his gun. AI plug-in, automatic aiming, perspective, locking, parameters first. Countless soldiers, shrill alarms, and flying bodies. The enemy also responded with more intense firepower. Pulses, lasers, cannons, and hundreds of hovercrafts were rushing towards them. There are also people wearing exoskeletons and holding large caliber lasers, able to jump dozens of meters away. Yisui looked out the rear window and saw Bai Ling Ian operating the hovercraft to dodge quickly. Yisui asked, Bai Ling Ian, the AI A euro of your mechanical backpack seems to be much more advanced than theirs. Chapter 8. Yisui went to the space elevator not only to gamble on his luck, but also to have a sense of destiny. A voice told him to go there. Bai Ling Ian sat in the driver's seat with a pale face, holding the mechanical backpack tightly in both hands. The robotic arm quickly controlled the second-hand hovercraft. Yisui tightly gripped the handlebars, feeling a little carsick. At this time, the two were driving on a cyber-style street full of dilapidated and decadent atmosphere. The buildings on both sides of the street are crumbling and the neon lights have long been turned off. The air was filled with a strong smell of plasma and burning. A group of fully armed enemies came from all directions. Although their weapons were mixed, they were indeed fully armed. Blocked by Ling Ian and Yisui's way, but Andre had made prior instructions. They didn't dare to directly attack the hovercraft with large caliber weapons, and their weapons could only blow a hole in the road. Bai Ling Ian increased the speed of the hovercraft to the extreme, and the mechanical backpack on her back extended mechanical arms and various weapons, and began to counterattack the enemy. After a few whoosh sounds, laser beams shot out from the mechanical backpack, accurately naming several small leaders. Those originally aggressive enemies immediately hurriedly looked for cover, but they could not resist Bai Ling Ian's ability to pass through walls. With the casualties, even with Kakashiro's pressure, the Kaka people began to question Andre's order not to harm the people in the car. As for the Yashika people, although Andre also negotiated with their leaders and elders in his own way, the Yashika people were more concerned about cheering them on. In their eyes, not messing up the affairs of your Kaka tribe is already a favor they are giving you with a pinch of their noses. As for a real fight, come on, I don't even know the people in the car, what hatred do I have with him? But, you from the Kaka tribe, it was your grandfather who killed my grandfather, why don't a Euro trademark we have a real fight first? At this time, anti-vehicle shock bomb. One after another, the concussion bombs hit the hovercraft like meteors. However, surprisingly, when the concussion bomb fell next to the hovercraft, an anti-concussion air compressor gun suddenly extended from the mechanical backpack, easily turning the nearby concussion bombs into duds. Seeing this, the enemy could only try to block Yisui and his group by relying on checkpoints. Andre set up many checkpoints ahead of the road, using solid anti-electromagnetic suspension barriers to block the hovercar's path. This roadblock is made of special materials that can destroy already laid and naturally existing electromagnetic lines on the ground. The mechanical backpack exerted force again and fired dissolving bombs one after another. It easily dissolved the roadblocks, creating a smooth path for the hovercraft. At this moment, someone threw an electromagnetic net towards Bai Lingyan and Yisui. He tried to catch them, but a special tool pliers that could cut the electromagnetic net popped out from the mechanical backpack. The robotic arm controls the tool pliers and cuts a gap in the electromagnetic net in just a few strokes. Yisui asked carelessly at this moment, "Where did you get so much space in your mechanical backpack?" Kakashiro doesn't understand why he has persisted for so many years. He did not restore order to Z Mountain, nor did he bring hope to Z Mountain. The Kaka people are still suffering and are still being scolded in the city of Amu as typical examples of ruthless people. Kakashiro wants to be the savior and the saint of the Kaka tribe. Then Andrea appears and easily defeats Kakasilo's guards. He persuaded the Kaka people to join him in rebelling against the Atavese people, and he also persuaded the Ashiko people to put aside their hatred and rebel together. He brought with him a large amount of weapons, resources, and food. He accomplished in just one day what Kakashiro had been doing all his life. Rebuild order in Ziashan and give Ziashan hope. But Kakashiro always felt that Andre's hope was a little false and slim. Andre just deceived Ziashan, a group of illiterate people who had never seen the world or read books. AM is the autonomous territory bestowed upon the Actives by the Daxia Alliance. As long as the Actives have not committed any major crimes that would implicate their entire race, AM will always be an Actives autonomous territory. Even if the Kaka and Ichiko people really defeat the Atavese people, can they still defeat the Daxia Alliance? The Daxia Empire has the responsibility to protect the M-Star autonomous territory. Kakashiro is a compromiser and capitulator because he has seen the power and prosperity of planet AMU. Just like the saying, "You, who do not practice, see me like a frog in a well looking at the moon in the sky. If you practice cultivation, you will see me as an ant looking at the sky." His vision is not limited to Z Mountain, but he can see the 2.5 ecological chains of M-Star and its population of tens of billions. Andre is a famous interstellar bandit who roams the universe beyond the third border. He has seen the world, so it's easy for him to cheat a bunch of country bumpkins. The lonely Kakashiro was arranged by Andre to come here to reassemble the space elevator. Z Mountain is very big, very big. It has as many as 27 super large administrative districts. Each administrative district is like a Pearl River Delta in Yisui's impression. After all, at its peak, Z Mountain accommodated 1/6 of the population of M-Star, more than 1 billion people. If there were no Star Ring Lightspeed A-Euro facility, getting to the space elevator from the old port would be a completely different approach. Almost across the entire Ziashan satellite city. Fortunately, however, Andre was able to quickly mobilize manpower. A batch of resources were used to restart the almost scrapped Star Ring Lightspeed facility. Even after the repair, the speed of the ring light cannot actually reach the speed of light. However, this speed is enough for Bai Lingyan to reach the space elevator before the magnetic suspension energy of her levitation vehicle is exhausted. If Wang Dong knew about this, he would probably wonder if Andre was a hidden spy of the Alliance Investigation Bureau. After all, this arrangement that just happened to cause cerebral thrombosis is really too stupid. What he did was totally unlike that of a smart person. Well, in Wang Dong's eyes, he is not yet a human being. The light speed of the star ring is actually turned on. Bai Lingyan was very shocked. There must have been major changes in Z Mountain, otherwise this situation would not have been possible. This thought lingered in Bai Lingyan's mind. Bai Lingyan turned around to look at Yisui, and thought of what Yisui said about the enemy who was chasing after her. Bai Lingyan drove the hovercraft towards the star ring light speed. Continuing to attack might destroy the star ring light speed. So the Kaka and Ichiko people stopped their actions at the same time and went to protect the only assets of their hometown. Everything was according to Andre's plan and arrangement. If he caught Yisui in Zhejiang, he would definitely be killed to silence him. But if he could drive Yisui to the space elevator, he would have hope of survival. The people on the old port side are the aliens, and the people on the space elevator side are the 10 surnames. Andre has been sold by the aliens once, so asking him to capture Yisui is pure waste. Yisui will definitely be taken away by the people who come looking for him, and he will not be able to fulfill any of the promises they made to him. ETA Euro trademark S. Not that ETA Euro trademark S difficult to let them come down and catch them themselves, ETA Euro trademark S mainly because they still have the delusion that they can get away with it and survive. Andre also had this delusion, otherwise he would not have betrayed his master. The Silver Moon Tengu gang is a typical example of people who want to do great things but value their lives. These people are not much better, probably because they heard that Yisui is alive. Everyone was afraid that it was phishing. After all, the Alliance had a precedent. If it weren't for the Alliance boss who was mainly responsible for providing intelligence, he would have repeatedly emphasized that the intelligence was correct. Everyone has already broken up. Now everyone has their own evil intentions and hopes to be the final winner. The best thing is that you come to exterminate the clan, and I come to enjoy the good life. Since Wang Dong failed in his last attempt to rob his fellow thieves, he naturally wanted to bribe Andre to steal the deal. As for what attracted Yisui to the space elevator, it was his coffin, hibernation capsule. No, I don't understand why this hibernation capsule can still summon its host. Did they develop feelings for each other during sleep? Tengu, get ready. It's time for the solar eclipse. Mr. Kakashiro, there are 2 Actives lackeys about to escape to the space elevator. Received. The Silver Sirius pirates, who were wandering outside the foot of Z Mountain, blocked the exit of the Z Mountain space elevator. And dispatch elite troops to capture people. According to their original agreement, Yisui was sent over there, and they would carry out the arrest. Chapter 9. Yisui was driven to the space elevator at this time, and he found himself completely surrounded. And, Yisui began to recall the mysterious feeling he had just had. Suddenly, a group of well-equipped people wearing dog masks appeared in the space elevator, and they were surrounding their own hibernation capsule. Why does the hibernation capsule also have electromagnetic induction with its owner? Yisui was speechless and wanted to curse. But at this moment, Yisui realized that he had awakened a new ability, the heart and brain. Listening to everything, knowing everything and heart and brain, if there is a superpower like mind reading or telepathy, you can become the omniscient one that is the true realm of God. Bai Lingying tried to break through several times, but finally one of the robotic arms was broken and the hovercraft was overturned. Bai Lingying had already given up a little and seemed to be mumbling something to herself. Yisui realized that her psychological depression, despair, and longing for others were already hiding the unwillingness and resentment deep in her heart. Yisui exerted all his strength and was able to sense the confusion, ignorance, and helplessness in the hearts of the Kaka and Uchiko people present. There is also a faint but present emotion, fear. They are unconsciously fearing Yisui. It is the natural fear of gods by mortal beings, it is the fear of the unknown sky by frogs in the well, it is the fear of Yisui, who has the noble blood of the human race, by humble people like them. Yisui crawled out of the hovercraft and stood on top of it. The Kaka and Yuzhiko people surrounded Yisui, and seemed to be ready to listen to the god's instructions. Yisui uses his mind and brain to dig out and amplify the fear in everyone's heart, and transmits his voice to their ears by listening to everything, so as to increase persuasiveness. I don't know who has bewitched you to be so bold as to attack me. Look carefully at my face and listen to my language. No one should ask, what does this mean? This means the highest authority of the Daxia Alliance. This means that I, Yisui, am the supreme being in the Great Xia Alliance. A drop of my blood is more valuable than yours. The Kaka and Uchiko people present were shocked to see that Yisui looked different from them. But they all know what looks more noble. It's Yisui's look. They could hear Yisui's voice clearly. The scene was very large, with hundreds of thousands of people from both tribes gathered in a short time. With Yisui's reminder, they also understood that it was a language they did not recognize. But they understand those languages. Someone was muttering, only God's teachings can transcend language. The fanatically conservative Kaka people are almost regarding this as a miracle. Yisui felt the pleasure of God's control over the inner world of mortals. Yisui continued, even the governor of your planet Amu would kneel down before me. And you are provoking me. You are provoking the Great Xia Alliance. You are provoking God. Aren't you afraid of the Daxia Alliance's revenge? You put your family, friends, and tribe under the wrath of the Great Xia Alliance. Do you think our Great Xia Alliance's naval guns are at a disadvantage? Bai Lingying was confused but couldn't hide her excitement. She raised her head tremblingly. She looked at Yisui standing in front of her with her sharp eyes. At this moment, she was extremely sure in her heart. She followed Yisui's decision and won. Mom, if you could see. Bai Lingying said silently in her heart, her eyes moistened. I have followed your old path, but the man I depend on is stronger than the one I called my father. She pursed her lips tightly, suppressing her emotions that were about to collapse, but she almost shouted in her heart. I swore that I would return to that place with dignity and let everyone kneel down to welcome me, in order to wash away the shame they have inflicted on you. Bai Lingying's chest was shaking violently, and her breathing became a little rapid. Suddenly, Bai Lingying concentrated her mind and used her racial talent, the magic of illusion. I saw countless rays of light gathered in her hands, dancing gently. Just a gentle blow. The bright light danced from her hands like a butterfly and surrounded Yisui. These lights interweave and merge with each other, forming a colorful halo. Add sacredness and majesty to Yisui's figure. The fear in the hearts of the two tribes became more and more solid, and their blind obedience also spread the fear and obedience to Yisui. Andre, who was not far away, naturally saw that it was the effect of racial talent. However, Andre ran away without any hesitation. Yisui expended a great deal of energy and effort to soothe the fear, doubt, and blind obedience in the hearts of the people. By listening to everything, let your voice and words reach deep into their hearts and minds. Everyone lowered their heads in confusion, fear, and anxiety. Yisui felt that the time was about right, so he said, I can understand your ignorance. I can forgive your rudeness and barbarity. I can also understand the deception and hurt you have suffered. Poor people, we are kind and forgiving, don't be so panic-stricken. Yisui's tone softened, and with the adjustment of his heart and brain, he gave them hope of survival, expecting Yisui to propose conditions for forgiveness. Then continue to bend their emotions, first with force then with kindness, and finally conquer them. But Yisui's tone changed. Kakashiro had completely believed it and was ready to slide down to his knees. We are dignified, we are inviolable, and our anger is well-founded. You must bear the consequences of your actions. Come, look at me. Yisui himself became emotional, look whose anger you are bearing. Animals. Look at me and kneel down. Kakashiro knelt down first, his head buzzing from knocking. Other members of the Kaka tribe were also accustomed to obeying clan sacrifices, and they also knelt down and kowtowed, leading the Yuzhiko people to follow blindly. It was a truly hearty miracle. The power of the heart and brain needs no further explanation. Perception and manipulation are the realm of God. In Yisui's eyes, this is the most important golden finger since he traveled through time and space, and it is his strongest superpower. In Bai Lingying's eyes, this is a powerful and terrifying racial talent. Animals. Kneel down first. Moreover, the people behind Andre have been secretly trying to find out if there is anyone fishing on Sandstorm Star 1633. After all, the commotion was so big, but the Daxia Alliance hasn't reacted to what's happening here. This kind of slowness is impossible for the size and structure of the Daxia Alliance. Therefore, Wang Dong, Andre and others increasingly believed that there must be someone fishing to lure them into the trap. However, the man who played chess with Wang Dong and the person behind him who was the source of the information were really important. That mysterious person has made solemn promises to the top leaders of the aliens and the 10 surnames many times. There is absolutely no human setting up a trap on Sandstorm Planet 1633 to fish for fish. But as soon as the scene just happened, Andre discovered it from a distance and ran away. At least he had to get out of the Great Xia Empire and reach the fourth outer boundary of the universe to have a chance of survival. The moon-swallowing Tengu pirates who were preparing to capture Yisui surrendered immediately on the spot and captured the Silver Moon Tengu who had no time to surrender. Of course, there were also death squads who passed the information on and took the opportunity to assassinate Yisui. Are all those spies from the Just Union Investigation Bureau, Jinyiwei, and bad guys just there to do nothing? They did not receive orders from the Senate and did not dare to act on their own, but that did not stop them from sabotaging the actions of the 10 surnames in secret. The barbarians fear power but not virtue. Only those who have been massacred by the Great Xia Alliance know how terrifying the Great Xia Alliance is. AM Star and its ecological chain are located in the heart of the Great Xia Alliance. Although it is only an autonomous territory, it is a truly well-ruled place. It has been nearly 3,000 or 4,000 years since the Kaka and Uchiko tribes caught the last train of civilization, and the prestige of the Daxia Alliance has already penetrated into their hearts. It's because they consider themselves a member of the Daxia Empire, not a vassal of the Actives. Their status is equal, so the Kaka people and the Ichiko people seek independence. Wang Dong got the news very quickly and was devastated. There is absolutely no hope of a comeback this time. Or maybe just slit your throat. At least you don't have to suffer the torture of the Union Investigation Bureau. Abandon the dark and turn to the light? If Wang Dong could abandon the dark and turn to the light, he would not have known about this matter at all. To be sent by the 10 surnames to do this, his own bottom is not clean. At least there are a few serious crimes in the Alliance, and none of them can be used to atone for one's crimes. Therefore, you must surrender yourself before reporting. The big shot who provided the source of the information is still proving the authenticity of his information to the aliens and the 10 surnames. It's definitely not fishing. Princess Ariel is about to come of age, and everyone is in the Senate preparing for new political turmoil. No one is left outside. At most, he is a person who was hibernating in a lost hibernation capsule during the Great Crusade and has awakened. We need to eliminate him now, before he has the authorization. We need to do it quickly. Quickly. Then a message stopped Wang Dong from committing suicide and gave him a new glimmer of hope. Wang Dong ordered the 3rd Patrol Fleet to come to M-Star to quell the rebellion immediately. As long as the 3rd Patrol Fleet launches an attack, everything will be fine. Chapter 10. Animals, look at me and kneel down. The video of Yisui's speech was being played repeatedly by them. Different from Wang Dong's meeting, the 3 parties were all young people who were mainly responsible for specific work and served as abandoned pawns. All those present this time are elderly, and they are the masterminds of this incident. Your Highness does not exist among the gods I know, and of course I don't know many. An old man in a suit said modestly that he looked no different from a normal person. The one who knows more, he keeps saying that all the gods are in the Senate preparing for Princess Ariel's coming-of-age ceremony. A red-haired old man wearing strange armor. He looks almost like a human, if you ignore his tall body and the scales on both sides of his cheeks. That person is right. Princess Ariel will soon enter the Senate, which will definitely bring major changes to Daxia's current policies. Another old man who looked very much like a human spoke up. But there are always a few people who don't care about the Senate and only care about their own fun. What if someone makes a robot and puts it in the Senate for a meeting? Will that person still be able to investigate? Yes, not only will he investigate, but he can even see the specific list of people who will be there. The old man who was sitting at the head of the meeting and covered his face with a black robe finally spoke. And that person also said. The old man in black robe took out a black piece of paper that looked like paper, but the material was definitely not made of paper. A few lines of words appeared on it, and then it disappeared into thin air. That person said that up to now, the Senate has not received any information from the Union Investigation Bureau, the CIA, the Military Control Commission, the Internal Affairs Committee, the Imperial Guard, the Censorate, the Bad People, and other messy intelligence, espionage, and secret police departments. There is not a single report on AMU Star. The old man in black robe deliberately emphasized that there was not a single one. What he meant was that someone higher up in the Senate was happy to see this and was deliberately covering it up. The old man in a suit who spoke first immediately showed a joyful expression and continued the conversation. That's probably the case. Although the alliance is huge, each god can only get a few things now. Maybe some of them don't want another senior with a lot of experience to appear. The old man in black robe expressed his guess. Although what he said was not exactly the same, it was far from the truth. Then, increase the intensity. Yisui felt that his soul was shrouded in a deep fatigue. He thought that exerting his abilities on such a large scale and against so many targets would really put a strain on his body and he couldn't do it for long. Yisui knew that he could not maintain the state of mind and brain blessing for a long time, and Andre and others were secretly causing trouble. If he stayed in Z Mountain for a long time, he would be in danger once the Kaka and Yashika people came to their senses. It's not safe to escape alone, even if I take Bai Ling Yin with me. Therefore, before they get out of this state, find a way to get them to escort you to a safe place. Yisuya Euro trademark's few choices are, AMU star. After all, the Atlanteans were loyal followers of the human race who were conquered in the early days. Hopefully, going to AMU is not a risky journey. The Daxia Alliance couldn't possibly be so far away that even its own hinterland, a planet only 2 star systems away from the ancestral star, would be filled with traitors and villains, right? So, Yi Seokyong pulled himself together and said to everyone in a stern voice, listen carefully. Go and restart this space elevator now, and then escort me to planet AMU. I don't want to stay in this place that is despised by civilization for even a day longer. In Bai Ling Ian's words, this is what it feels like to not treat people as human beings. Kakashiro exclaimed, too cool. As long as you obey my orders, the Daxia Alliance will certainly give you the rewards you deserve. Yisui hugged Bai Ling Ian. Bai Ling Ian had a shy look on her face, but suddenly she felt Yisui leaning on her. Bai Ling Ian knew that this was caused by overwork from using her racial talents, so she pretended to be held in Yisui's arms, but in fact she was secretly supporting Yisui. Kakashiro and several elders of the Ichiku tribe came to pay their respects to Yisui. Yisui didn't want to expose his weakness, so he asked Bai Ling Ian to say, let them choose a representative. I only want to see one person. Bai Ling Ian's mechanical backpack turned the hover car over and supported him to sit in the car. Yisui was so tired that he couldn't even lift his feet. Bai Ling Ian deliberately knelt on the ground, picked up Yisui's feet and put them in. Kakashiro and the Ichiku elders were deeply moved when they saw this scene. Even a noble woman from a big family who wandered here had to be so humble and lowly. Then the nobility of this person is even more evident. Finally, Kakashiro met Yisui and got Yisui's promise to help restore Z Mountain to its original prosperity. Yisui had just fallen asleep when he was woken up by Bai Ling Ian. Yisui was a little panicked for a moment. The moon-swallowing Tengu pirates, with the Silver Moon Tengu in tow, came over from the space elevator and almost clashed with the Kakamin militia. So he told Bai Ling Ian, and Bai Ling Ian came to wake up Yisui again. Yisui calmed himself and signaled Moon-swallowing Wolf to send up a representative. Who are you? Are you here to turn from darkness to light? Although Yisui was very tired, he deliberately created a majestic voice. Immediately, a person wearing a brass Moon Tengu mask from the moon-swallowing Tengu pirates came up to them, trotting with his body bent in a comical manner, and fell to his knees. In fact, Yisui has always been a little puzzled as to why the system of interstellar civilization is more similar to the feudal era and why aliens kneel at every turn. The bad guys, a member of the 1101086 team of the Earth Dog Star, and a 9th rank inspector under the command of the master of the Sensorate, a Senmo of the Tengu clan, greets the master. Bad people? Censors? What's going on? The bad people are an intelligence and espionage organization directly under the Senate, targeting all walks of life in the gray area. The supreme leader is the bad leader, who is a pure-blooded human. They are named after the 36 heavenly generals and the 72 earthly fiends, and they also have a long string of numbers as the serial number of their own team. For example, in a Senmo, -11 means the 11th organization, 010 means the 10th brigade, and 086 means the 86th squad. Fanzi represents the position in the squad, that is, an ordinary member, and boss is the captain acts as a liaison and reports to superiors. Zhoujiao means one's identity including Sheng, Dan, Jing, Mo, and Zhou. For example, Sheng is active in the political and business circles, Dan is active in the entertainment, art, and academic circles, Jing refers to religion, and Mo is the local army. The ugly ones are the gangsters, thieves, and space pirates in the gray area. The Sensorate was named after the ancient Sensorate, which belonged only to the Senate and was mainly responsible for supervising the dignitaries, officials, and civil servants within the alliance. There is a first-rank imperial censor in charge, and under him are second-rank officials, namely, the upper, middle, and lower officials, each in charge of a department. All 4 of them are pure-blooded humans, and their rank is just a symbol of status, without any distinction between the main and the subordinate. Yisui complained in his heart, but did not show his lack of knowledge. In addition, Yisui understood that this was a double agent. The official mentioned later was of high rank, so the name was more impressive, and the word A1/4 was used. Patrolman Asenmo, get up. You have been in the enemy camp for a long time. Was it your fault or was it that the alliance was slow to react? Your Excellency, Asenmo was sent by the Sensorate to supervise the bad guys on Earth Dog Star, and was later sent by Earth Dog Star to be in charge of the moon-swallowing Tengu pirates. When I discovered that the pirates seemed to be colluding with other forces, I have reported this to the bad people and the Sensorate many times, but there has been no response so far. I even took this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as a 9th rank inspector and reported it directly to the Senate, but there was no reply. Asenmo explained clearly his identity and background, and also revealed a very important key. Either the Daxia Alliance has always been aware of the situation on the Sandstorm planet, but just did nothing about it. Either there is a traitor in the Daxia Alliance, and the traitor's level is so high that it can isolate the inside and the outside. There is not just one Asenmo among these people, but what if all the Asenmos fail to pass on the message? Then Yisui should think about whether he should recognize this identity. A very important one, Yisui knows that he is human. Even if the Daxia Alliance has some means of detection that can confirm that they are native humans born on Earth, will the Daxia Alliance recognize a native of unknown origin? Asenmo was waiting for Yisui's questions, which was also intended to be an examination of him. Asenmo originally did not plan to come for the meeting, after all, he could not figure out what was going on. But since Yisui called him, it would be against the rules if I didn't meet him. Asenmo believes that calling a representative is like calling oneself. Get up. Yisui pretended not to hear what he said and continued to ask, you know who is behind this? Asenmo found that Yisui didn't seem to care, so he stood up and said without hesitation, Wang Dong from the Wang family of Ziwei Star is now on AMU Star, Li Cheng, the quartermaster of the 6th formation under the 2nd Border Garrison Army. Asenmo felt that the names he gave out were a little too few, so he added, I also captured the captain of the Swallowing Moon Wolf Pirates this time, so we can interrogate him. Wang Dong? Li Cheng. Yisui read the two names carefully, because they were Chinese names, then you go and interrogate them. Asenmo is the name pronounced in Chinese. Chinese is also the evidence that Asenmo was able to quickly believe Yisui's identity. What Yisui doesn't understand is that the Chinese language has not evolved at all over the years. Of course, it is also possible that Chinese was preserved intentionally. What do you think we should do now? In the end, Yisui asked the question he really didn't want to ask. Because, when Yisui wrote novels in the past, the protagonist who asked this kind of question would appear to have no intelligence and no opinion. Asking this would be embarrassing. Go to AMU Star. Asenmo answered directly. As long as we reach AMU Star, everything will be fine. Chapter 11. Yisui was unwilling to hear Asenmo's proposal. If, before getting any news from Asenmo, Yisui was inclined to go to AMU Star, but now he is wary. Why isn't Wang Dong on M Star? Yisui asked his question in a rhetorical way. In short, don't show your weakness. AM Planet has been a member of the Alliance for over 8,000 years. The people are loyal to the Alliance and will never conspire with traitors. The people of both tribes here are loyal and brave, but considering that the thieves may have someone to support them, they are so bold and reckless. What if something unbearable is done? How can your highness be in danger? What if a sheep falls into the tiger's mouth? Yisui regretted it right after he said it. He felt that he had used a bad idiom and compared himself to a sheep. So he added, how do you know that I don't have the ability to protect myself? Just like today, I only needed my words to turn the rebellious fools into loyal and brave soldiers. Do you really rely on their loyalty to Daxia? At the same time, he used his mind and brain to stir up the fear in his heart. This person's heart is really hard, like an iron rod. But you can still move it a little bit, not more, only a little bit. Asenmo only felt a chill on his back, and a feeling that he would die soon emerged in his heart. The image of myself angering Yisui flashed through my mind, and then a group of people suddenly jumped out, dragged me down and shot me. Asenmo knelt down again, Sir, I guarantee with the Imperial Sense Orate that as long as you go to AMU Star and reveal your identity, Wang Dong and his ilk will definitely surrender. Even if Wang Dong can instigate a small-scale rebellion, with the AMU Star self-defense fleet. Euro enough. I don't trust you. Yisui expressed his distrust directly. After Asenmo's repeated persuasion, Yisui pretended to think it over carefully and finally reached a compromise. They can go to AMU Star, but they must bring militias from the Kaka and Ichiko tribes. The two races have been rebuilding and assembling the space elevator. Not to mention the Kaka tribe, the Uchiko tribe has been building infrastructure in Z Mountain from the beginning, although the space elevator was outsourced and M Star does not have that level of technology. But the Ichiko people personally participated in the maintenance and expansion of the space elevator, serving as labor. They are all passed down by relevant system programs, models, and AI data. And Andre also provided a complete AI model and database for building a space elevator. Even if I can't repair it, wouldn't it be possible to do it by installing AI on the prosthesis? False knowledge inheritance, a room full of bulky and useless books that you need to read yourself, real knowledge inheritance, AI database. Little old man Kakashiro came running hurriedly. Report to Yisui, sir. We have successfully repaired and assembled the space elevator, but because Z Mountain is now in the second ecological chain, it is too far away from AMU Star. The length of the elevator is limited and it cannot reach the surface of AMU Star. We need to wait for 2 days. Joe, Ziashin will be able to reach the surface of AMU Star if it orbits to the first ecological chain. At that time, Yisui arranged for them to repair the space elevator mainly because he didn't want them to be idle and think about random things, so he wanted to find something for them to do. Of course, at that time Yisui really felt that M Star might be safer, because those who captured Yisui for biological research were always some rebels, spies, and pirates of the Daxia Alliance. The enemy of my enemy may be my friend. After all, AM Star is the territory of the loyal followers of the Daxia Alliance. Later, Asenmo guessed that the Daxia Alliance was the biggest boss. Asenmo quickly came up with a solution, let the moon-devouring Sirius pirate spaceship act as a traction force to pull Ziashin towards planet AMU. When we are at a suitable distance, we can lower the space elevator. Yisui felt it was unreliable. After all, a spacecraft pulling a planet didn't sound reliable. But Yisui didn't know how powerful a spacecraft was in this era, and he was too embarrassed to ask, in case it was common sense. Wouldn't that be a giveaway? So he asked, will we be attacked by the AMU Star self-defense fleet if we do this? They dare. Asenmo replied nonchalantly, I have to ask them to come along. Yisui then let Asenmo arrange this matter. At the same time, the militiamen of the Kaka and Ichiko tribes were very excited when they learned that they would go to planet AMU. Get ready to follow Yisui to fight the Atavese people. There is quite a sense of arrogance. So, according to the plan, everyone successfully arrived near the planet AM. Asenmo asked Kakashiro for several hundred people and came to the moon devouring Sirius pirates. A series of intimidation, inducement, frightening, appeasement, and then revealing one's identity. After completely subduing this group of little pirates, he mobilized the 3 warships and more than 20 spaceships of the Swallowing Moon Wolf pirates, started the spaceships, and towed the Xietian satellite city towards the M-star. Looking from underground of Xietian satellite city, it looks like a fallen body, and there is a space elevator underneath. But on a flat surface it actually looks more like the Chinese character a Feng. In the past, the moon-swallowing heavenly wolf had always used various means to hide, and had figured out the patrol routes long ago. In addition, he had the protection of officials of all ranks, which allowed him to act secretly. Of course, those officials, both big and small, who provided shelter felt that they were corrupt and committed injustice. As for rebelling against the Daxia Alliance, they would never dare to do so. So this time, the moon-swallowing wolf pirate group openly and with great momentum pulled Xietian. It is so eye-catching that it is really unacceptable to ignore it. Cruiser 6657 of the 6th Cruise Squadron of the M-Star Dominion sped over after discovering the situation and was about to sound the alarm. Swallowing the Moon Heavenly Wolf used a projection light to project the seal of the 9th rank inspector of the sensorate onto the glass of the cabin of the Cruiser 6657. I immediately received a piece of plain text, which was Asinmo's identity report and the mission he was to perform. Let Cruiser 6657 report to the Governor of M-Star and the Commander-in-Chief of the Self-Defense Fleet and ask them to come over to help. The commander of Cruiser 6657 was silent. He knew about the sensorate and the 9th rank inspector. What is a super citizen? I know there are first class, second class, third class, fourth class, and inferior citizens in the Alliance. What is a super citizen? Poor him, he was only a third-class citizen. He was very proud and usually thought that the Commander-in-Chief was only 1 rank higher than him. He didn't even know what a special class citizen was. In fact, there is really no such thing as a super citizen in the Alliance. Asinmo didn't know how to express Yisui, so he made up the concept of a super citizen. At the beginning, citizens of the Daxia Alliance were divided into first, second, third, and fourth classes, namely the 4-class citizen law is a temporary auxiliary management system for wartime and emergency production, and then it became permanent. In the beginning, the primitive human race was classified as first-class citizens, but later they were no longer included in the 4-class citizen system and were listed separately to show their superiority. Then, special citizens were added as supplements, and also used for gifts and to show favor, so special citizens were not made public. Cruiser 6657 immediately sent the plain text to the Commander-in-Chief. Got a reply, the Commander-in-Chief asked him to pull together first. The Commander-in-Chief hurriedly asked the Governor, and the person who handled the matter was naturally the Governor's butler, an old gentleman. The old gentleman studied it and made an interstellar express long-distance call, but it didn't go through. I changed 5 or 6 ways and realized the seriousness of the matter. The seriousness meant the importance of Yisui. The old gentleman acted decisively and ordered the Commander-in-Chief to mobilize all the warships and spacecraft to escort to Mount Laxayi. Then the old gentleman took the Governor and called on all the officials in the city to go and greet him. When the space elevator was successfully connected to the ground, Yisui led everyone to board the elevator carefully. As the elevator slowly descended, they gradually approached the strange planet. Asinmo was afraid of alerting the enemy, so he did not mention Wang Dong in the explicit text, but only reminded the old gentleman in the cryptic text to be on guard against someone causing trouble inside. Wang Dong learned the news and found the old gentleman. With a flattering look on his face, he said to the old gentleman with a changed attitude, "Dear sir, I know Yisui in Z Mountain. He is not a super citizen. I assure you in the name of the Wang family that there is no such thing as a super citizen." Statement. He is a fraud. He has no identity now. It is absolutely true. He is just a person whose identity was revoked and forced into exile. I have some personal grudges against him, and I know what's wrong. Don't worry, if anything happens, our Wang family will take care of it. If you can remain neutral, I can help you get the angel's healing quota. After hearing this, the old gentleman's face suddenly darkened. He looked at Wang Dong with an extremely disdainful look and said coldly, "How ridiculous it is to be so arrogant at first and so humble later." The old gentleman waved his hand, and the office turned into a fortress, protecting the young governor and the old gentleman. "Wang Dong, do you know? You are used to calling the Wang family when you feel guilty. You think you are claiming the Wang family's resources as your own. I didn't understand at first, so I was fooled by you and thought you could really get an angel. Lay on healing quota €1. In fact, when you shout out the Wang family, I €1 trademark. I'm afraid you can have another Wang family if you want to." Wang Dong's face fell, and there was a hint of resentment in his expression. It seemed that the old gentleman had hit his sore spot. The old gentleman continued, "To do great things, but to be thrifty with oneself and money is petty. When making promises, one will never promise anything big." Then the old man made a phone call, and a group of elite security guards wearing the new generation of exoskeleton armor rushed in and fired countless tranquilizer bullets. They then tied Wang Dong up and used various means to ensure that he could not escape before pulling him down. Chapter 12. Yisui led by Ling, Asinmo, and the militias of the 2 tribes to the planet AMU. The base of the space elevator on AM has long been transformed into a spacecraft launch silo for M to build its ecological chain. In order to welcome the new year, the administrative department of M-Star immediately mobilized personnel to clean up the scene. The warships of the moon-swallowing Sirius pirates crashed into the planet AM, pulling what they pulled with them, A gravity traction chain that was implanted into the base by engineers on the base of the space elevator through AI-controlled machinery. In this way, the space elevator can provide a strong and continuous traction force to the Xietian satellite city through the gravitational traction chain. The next step is to dock the end of the space elevator. Even if it doesn't align, it can still be used. But when welcoming distinguished guests, one must naturally land smoothly. Yi Sui, along with Bai Ling Ian, Asenmo, and some guards, walked into the space elevator. There is a huge platform inside with a thick chain of light beams running through the middle. What I have been talking about before is group connection, which is this thing called group connection. Start the space elevator and a crystalline barrier will immediately rise on the platform. Whoosh. Start heading towards planet AMU. The feeling is similar to taking an elevator. You can feel yourself moving, but also feel a little stagnant. Asenmo was quick to notice this and explained, the space elevator has not been maintained for a long time, and there is a problem with the airtightness of the moving cabin. It is normal to feel slightly unwell. The barrier is a flowing light wheel, colorful and brilliant. It took about 5 minutes to reach AMU Star. The platform was embedded into the base, making a loud noise, followed by the release of steam causing a whistle, and a thick layer of white fog appeared outside the barrier. Asenmo wanted to explain something else. Yi Sui interrupted him, I understand, it's caused by the lack of maintenance for a long time. Asenmo clasped his hands and said with shame, my lord, you are understanding. I am ashamed. When the water vapor disappears, the barrier is removed, and the heavy iron door of the base is opened. After Yi Sui and his group walked out of the pedestal, the crowd that had been waiting for a long time immediately came up to greet them. In the front was the governor of M Star and his butler old gentleman holding his hand, with a large group of locals behind them, such as Doug Lin. Of course, Doug Lin would never be ignored and escape death because of his low status. Believe in the relevant departments of Daxia. After all, second-class citizens are already considered the bottom class of the Daxia Alliance. The governor of AM Star is still young, still a child, and has been sickly since childhood. Administrative affairs have always been handled by his butler. Look at him carefully, his fingers and hair have a dryness similar to that of plants. The drying up of plants is literal, not metaphorical. Just think about it. How can the atmosphere be harmonious when the Kaka, Ichiku, and Atavese tribes get together? There is a deep blood feud and prejudice between them that is difficult to abandon. After so many years of reflection and lessons, no one wants to debate what was right or wrong. Even if you grab any one of them, recount the past events, and count their sins. They will also stubbornly say, even if I am a little wrong, does that mean they are good people? The old gentleman suggested that Yi Sui move to the Lord's mansion, as this place in the middle of nowhere was not a good place to live. Yi Sui refused, saying that he didn't want to be alone in an unfamiliar environment. So the militias of the two tribes set up camp on the spot to rest. The old gentleman dismissed everyone and said to Yi Sui, I have contacted the Daxia Alliance, but I can't contact the outside world no matter what communication method I use. Yi Sui glanced at him and said, otherwise, what's the point of having you? Besides, it's just a temporary disconnection, Daxia is not dead. If the higher UPS can't contact M Star, they will soon notice something is wrong. Wang Dong came to sow discord and has been placed under house arrest. I have informed the Alliance and wonder if he needs to be interrogated. Yi Sui was hesitating at this time, so he decided to detain him temporarily and then hand him over to the people sent by the Daxia Alliance to deal with him, in order to show his integrity. Or just let Asenmodi go for interrogation to show his strength and the Wang family's contempt. Finally, he said, bring him here, I want to see what he has to say. The old gentleman chose C between A and B, which was beyond his expectation. Old gentlemen who have been in high positions for a long time are accustomed to giving others choices. However, Yi Sui should not be the one answering the questions. At this time, some rumors began to spread in the camp and the city of Aim, spread by people with ulterior motives. The rumor was directed at Yi Sui, and the purpose was obvious. What the Atavese heard was, have you heard? The one who promised to give the planet AMU to the Kaka and the Ichiku. Ah! AM planet is a dominion given to us by the Alliance. How can it be granted? What should we do? The rumor spreader would pretend to hesitate, I don't know, but that person obviously doesn't trust us. If he really makes a promise, do you think that kind of noble person will break his promise? At this point, a normal activist would have believed it, and would have jumped up and said, impossible. AM is our mother, and we will never leave our mother planet. At the same time, some people were spreading another rumor, saying that Yi Sui was just deceiving the Kaka and Ichiku people, and when the time was right, he would definitely settle accounts with them. As he said their anger is well aimed, those people did not intend to spread rumors to make the soldiers of the three tribes defect and rebel. I just hope that after the arrival of the 3rd Patrol Fleet, their resistance awareness will not be too strong. There is also another rumor circulating among senior officials, Yi Sui does not have citizenship. Some people say he is a habitual liar, others say his identity was cancelled and he was kicked out of the family. Wang Dong was merely under house arrest by the old gentleman. From the two conversations with the old gentleman, it is not difficult to know that the old gentleman thought Wang Dong acted on his own initiative. No real action was taken against Wang Dong, but he kept releasing this information to the outside world. And in the distant interstellar space, the 3rd Patrol Fleet, on which the traitors placed their hopes, was rushing to the planet Am. Since their deployment, they have carried out 3 consecutive high-frequency, high-intensity, and high-load interstellar migrations. At this moment, it is moving at full speed, heading towards the planet Amu with full power. Wang Dong was brought to Yisui, who had changed into clean clothes. Take care of your beard and hair and take a good bath with hot water. In this era, ordinary people can use quick cleaning spray and cleaning capsules to take a bath. But the so-called powerful and wealthy people naturally have to imitate humans and get used to boiling water for bathing. Find a pure handmade soaking tub with no traces of technological processing, and boil hot water in an inefficient and energy-wasting way. You have to use those small pots, and boil one pot at a time, and let a few beautifully designed female robots, or humanoid female maids, hold the slightly hot copper handles and pour the pots into the bucket one by one. Then he would find a few maids, have them scrub his body with their delicate hands, and pretend to drink a glass of wine produced in suxing. We have to do this kind of stupid thing that is inefficient, high energy consuming, wastes time and wastes resources. It's like a monkey imitating a human. Yisui was speechless when he saw this scene, and he couldn't bear to watch it. Don't tell me you don't even have a water heater here. Yisui asked back. The old gentleman noticed that the gentleman's tone was a little strange. Although he was in a remote countryside, he learned this from the Emperor of Xiwuxing. Sir, what's wrong with this? The old gentleman asked. Yisui was too lazy to complain. This seems stupid. The old gentleman sighed in his heart. It seems that Wang Dong is really stupid. The 3rd Patrol Fleet Group entered the cruise range of the AMU Star Self-Defense Fleet and was intercepted and questioned by Cruiser 1244. I was told that they were here to suppress the rebellion. Cruiser 1244 was confused because it had not received any news of rebellion on planet Am. Then I reported to my superiors, but found that I couldn't get in touch with them. I didn't know what to do for a while. But I already believe that there is a serious rebellion on M Star. I had no choice but to fly with him all the way. Chapter 13. Are you Wang Dong? Wang Dong was brought before Yisui as a prisoner. Yisui sat in the seat of honor, with Bai Lingyan standing next to him. Bai Lingyan acted as Yisui's secretary, while Asinmo and the old gentleman were sitting at the bottom, a few meters away. Wang Dong closed his eyes and rested. He had been given several injections of inhibitors, so he could not use the other racial talents transplanted into his body. However, before he came, someone had secretly told him a piece of news. The 3rd Patrol Formation is about to arrive, but no one on the entire M planet has received this news except them. The person behind the scenes conducted his own investigation and found out that Sandstorm Planet 1633 is suspected to have lost the remains of an original human race. Several forces secretly colluded and planned and arranged. Send the abandoned child to M Star to inquire about the situation and find a desperate criminal to steal the body. So much time, so many operations, so many mistakes. There are so many intelligence, spy and monitoring organizations in Daxia, and his spies have discovered and reported many times. Logically speaking, the operation should have been leaked long ago, and someone should have been waiting for it on Sandstorm Star. The result was that someone with all-powerful connections deliberately suppressed all the information and concealed it for them. Even when Yisui was resurrected, there was such a big commotion in Z Mountain. That person has also been helping to cover up. This gave them a guess in their minds, someone didn't want to see Yisui appear. After they figured this out, there was hope for a comeback from a seemingly inevitable defeat. Wang Dong opened his eyes and thought to himself, no matter how noble your birth is, we are not the only enemies you have. You are Wang Dong? Yisui asked coldly. Chinese. Wang Dong smiled, sighed in his heart, and answered in a very elegant way, I am, and you are Yisui. Asinmo was immediately furious, how dare you address me by my name? Then he activated his racial talent, and a bloodthirsty breath like the bloody moon rushed into Wang Dong's senses. This was a form of mental attack. Wang Dong suffered severe mental trauma, and felt as if he was being swallowed by an animal's huge, foul-smelling mouth. Wang Dong immediately collapsed to the ground, his bladder becoming uncontrollable and incontinent. Everyone couldn't help laughing when they saw the scene, but they were also afraid of Asinmo. So domineering. Only Yisui, who was at the top, couldn't help but frown. After resting, Yisui was full of energy and his heart and brain were in good shape. One could sense from Wang Dong that he had a sense of satisfaction as his plot had succeeded and he felt smug. At the same time, he also saw a kind of fear from Asinmo just now. It was the fear of angering Yisui on his own initiative, and at the same time it was also a test of Yisui. These emotions are obscure and complex and difficult to observe. When Yisui uses his heart and brain to perceive other people's emotions, he uses his superpower of being able to read thousands of texts to understand the meaning of emotions. They must have noticed something new and their attitudes changed, especially Asinmo. What? Why make this place so dirty? Immediately, several noble ladies of the Activese tribe came up to mop the floor. Yisui held his forehead and said, how long can this be delayed? There are machines that need not be used. Why do you have to do stupid things and waste time? Only then did a silent, low-radiation cleaning robot come up. It was a rectangular robot similar to a safe. He stretched out his robotic arm and took out the quick cleaning spray and sprayed it at Wang Dong, and then sprayed several more times. In less than 3 seconds, several yellow beads condensed on the ground, and the robot collected the beads and left. That's a bit of technological advancement. Wang Dong's own mental attributes are quite high. If there were no inhibitors, he would not have made such a fool of himself. After organizing his thoughts, Wang Dong got up and said, everyone, the person on the stage does not have a formal identity in the alliance. We will know it once we check. Everyone must not help the evildoer. Yi Sui captured the excitement and nervousness in Wang Dong's emotions. Everyone else was secretly looking at Yi Sui. A straight look at him meant that they agreed with Wang Dong and wanted Yi Sui to prove himself. These people must see solid evidence, otherwise what will happen if they take a gamble? Yi Sui's mind could easily detect that they actually had the intention of proving Yi Sui himself. I am more curious about Yi Sui's identity. Yi Sui sneered, propped up his head with his other arm, and said coldly, are you worthy? You're questioning me? You're not worthy. Wang Dong is too familiar with this tone of voice that doesn't treat people as human beings. Unlike others, Wang Dong had really seen pure-blooded humans, but Wang Dong was just a little servant in front of the palace. In the eyes of people, they are just like those humanoid AI robots and are not considered individuals. There are people with good personalities and good attitudes, but they don't Euro trademark T consider themselves human beings in essence. People with bad personalities treat people like Wang Dong like pigs and dogs. Yi Sui waved his hand lightly, and the waiter dragged Wang Dong away almost instinctively. The people on the side had no chance to speak up to stop it, nor did they dare to take the lead. Boring. Yi Sui complained like a child, and no one knew what he was complaining about. Asenmo, the old gentleman and the others all felt as if someone was making fun of them, as if they were being seen through. Asenmo, what happened? Just report it on the spot. Yi Sui pointed out Asenmo directly. Asenmo's scalp tightened and the fear in his heart became stronger. Yi Sui deliberately provoked his fear. Asenmo knelt down again and said, I am incompetent. The third patrol team entered the AMU Star Interstellar under the pretext of suppressing the rebellion of the Kaka and Ichiku tribes on AMU Star. The fleet has already been driven to the second ecological chain. Let their heads come to see me. Do they still dare to rebel? Yi Sui said, pretending to be indifferent. Yi Sui originally wanted to say captain, but when the words were on the tip of his tongue, Yi Sui thought what if he shouldn't call him that, such as captain, commander, etc., so he changed the name. Moreover, Silver Moon Tengu had explained that Andre's mission in Z Mountain was to incite the Kaka and Ichiku tribes to rebellion. Andre ran away, the two tribes did not rebel, and M-Star did not ask them to quell the rebellion. According to the original plan, the 3rd Patrol Stabilization Team should not have been on M-Star at all. Think with your knees, the 3rd Patrol Team Wang Dong and Andre were transferred by the mastermind behind the scenes. Presumably, they are here to rebel. Asenmo hesitated and finally gave this news. Yi Sui, in a panic, forced out a smile that said, I am amused by you, and said, oh. Interesting. This is the expression of being fearless, not frowning and pretending not to understand their stupid behavior and asking, how dare they rebel? How dare they do that? Let the AM Star Self-Defense Fleet meet the attack first. Yi Sui used the word first to indicate that he had a backup plan, and also implied that everything was under control, but he had not had enough fun yet, so he let the Self-Defense Fleet meet the attack first. At the same time, do not forget to use your mind and brain to stir up the old gentleman's emotions of respect, obedience, and fear for yourself. All the pretense and psychological games before were just to make them trust Yi Sui at this moment, and dare to fight the enemy with real swords and guns without any official notification and authorization from the Daxia Alliance. A battle. The old gentleman naturally agreed, but he asked a question. He regretted it after asking. The old gentleman asked, if the Third Circuit can come up with some official approval documents for the Daxia Alliance, what should we do? What else can we do? Learn from the Presidential Guard of Yinkaka of the Korean Kingdom in the history of our motherland. We will stop you without causing any conflict, as long as we can delay it until the Daxia Alliance can react. The old gentleman's superstition and understanding of the Daxia Alliance made him firmly believe that the Daxia Alliance would be able to react within one standard day at most. Time is on your side. As long as you hold on, you will win. Chapter 14. They can't take it out. Yi Sui couldn't show the slightest hesitation. The old gentleman left fearfully to arrange the specific matters. Shortly after he left, medical staff came in and asked to take the young governor away for treatment. Yi Sui clearly felt the tension and a sense of petty theft in their hearts through his heart and brain. Petty theft? An old fox like the old gentleman would definitely not dare to stab Yi Sui in the back. At least, this is Yi Sui's appearance, language, habits, and temperament. It's exactly like the real thing. But, what if? The old gentleman would naturally not harm Yi Sui because of this Euro, but he was afraid that this Euro would harm his young master. The old gentleman was thinking, even if he was really deceived, as long as the young master was fine, with the favors of the activities people in the alliance, he could at least protect this relative who stayed in his hometown. In this way, at least I can live up to the entrustment of the master and the mistress. Yi Sui could easily understand and accept this wish, and the old gentleman also gave him a way out, so there was no need to be unkind. The old gentleman ordered the self-defense fleet to block the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group and granted it the right to open fire. This time the communication was not blocked. The old gentleman realized that the person behind the scenes was just unilaterally cutting off his contact with the outside world. Wang Dong and the 10 surnames and foreign ethnic groups behind him can communicate normally. The AM Star Self-Defense Fleet has a total of 7 formations, nearly 100 Strike Falcon-type warships, which belong to Class 3 warships, and 7 Heavy Bear main ships, which belong to Class 2 warships, in addition to nearly 1,000 small and medium-sized spacecraft. Among them, the Strike Falcon-type battleships serve as daily cruise ships, forming formations to complete cruise missions on major interstellar routes. Small and medium-sized spacecraft form formations to complete patrol missions in interstellar borders and desert areas. The Heavy Bear class main ship serves as the main ship and remains stationary for a long time. The advantage of these warships is that they are affordable. They were once the mainstream models of the Daxia Alliance and there is a large amount of stock on the market. In addition, it is fast, quick in action, and energy efficient, making it suitable for completing cruise missions. But the number is too much for AMU Star. There is only one life planet in the AMU galaxy, plus 2.5 ecological chains, a total of 14 immigration gravity rings, and a total population of no more than 20 billion. Some other planets in the galaxy are completely desert planets, otherwise there would be some industries, AI automated factories and scientific research centers on them, and the Daxia Alliance has a requirement to patrol its own galaxy. AM is a planet located in the heart of the Alliance, and it is a rare place to see even a small number of interstellar pirates. Keeping so many troops on standby is a sheer waste of money. In terms of combat effectiveness, it is certainly not as good as the Patrol Fleet Group, which is the second-line force of the Daxia Alliance. After all, these warships were discarded by the Patrol Fleet and sold to M-Star. After receiving the order, the Commander-in-Chief of the Self-Defense Fleet ordered the fleet to maintain a safe distance and spoke with the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group. The cruiser 1244, which had been accompanying the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group, finally received a communication from AM, which calmed their nervous mood. "Captain, what should we do?" asked the staff officer. "Disengage first, then call the 3rd Patrol Stabilization Fleet and ask them to stop temporarily." The captain made the decision. The Commander-in-Chief ordered all military forces to be assembled at the AMU starport and stationed in the 14 gravity ring starports, including 7 Heavy Bear class battleships. Ignoring the estimate, the size of the self-defense fleet and the size of the warships of the patrol and stability fleet, the level of weapons and combat quality are too different. If they fight, it is estimated that they can only hold out for 3 standard hours, and the self-defense fleet will be destroyed. However, considering that the self-defense fleet can rely on layers of blockades and mobilize the production capacity of M-Star, the self-defense fleet can hold out for 7 to 12 hours before completely losing its combat capability. The main reason was that the Commander-in-Chief didn't believe in his heart that the 3rd Patrol Fleet would dare to launch a full-scale annihilation attack on the M-Star self-defense fleet. Zhang Hao, commander of the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group, was born into the Ziwei Zhang family and is a core member of the 10 surnames. In his early years, when the universe was gilded within the 4th border, he served as the garrison commander of a certain star field. They colluded with foreign races, killed innocent people for the sake of gaining merit, nurtured the enemy, embezzled and perverted the law, etc. It was all thanks to his uncle, the 4th-rank inspector of the Sensorate, who was in charge of that area. Of course, there is no deep family affection between them, ETA Euro trademark S mainly because they visit each other frequently. Then his uncle was arrested by the 2nd-rank official, the Imperial Censor. Although he was not investigated too much and the case was put on Zhang Hao, he was still transferred to the 2nd-line troops in the rear to retire in advance. After Zhang Hao was transferred here, he cultivated his confidence in the army and also transferred a large number of children from the 10 surnames. Although the 10 surnames have conflicts and competition, and even backstab each other, they have been intermarrying and exchanging interests for thousands of years, and can be said to share weal and woe. Cruiser 1244 sent a plain text message, demanding that the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group leave the AMU system. Zhang Hao called the commanders of each fleet formation to discuss the matter. He pretended to listen for a few words, then directly knocked on the board. "Anyone who stands in our way will be attacked with all our strength." Zhang Hao knew very well that the 10 surnames were now in a situation where they could either advance or perish, with no other choice. "Commander, this is unnecessary, right? After all, AM Star is also an autonomous territory granted by the Daxia Alliance." A formation commander who was not from the 10 surnames system raised an objection. Now, Wang Dong'ai, a direct descendant of the Wang family in the capital of Ziwei Star, one of the 10 surnames, is facing a civil unrest in M Star, and his life is threatened. In order to rescue the citizens of the Alliance, we should take responsibility and not be so hesitant. Zhang Hao persuaded. But the commander wanted to say something else. "Don't say but. The autonomous governor of AM Star is only a first-class citizen. All of my 10 clans are first-class citizens. We can handle this. Full firepower, full speed." The commander also had something to say, saying that his status as lord of the autonomous region and first-class citizen was a gift from the Alliance to the Actives, an early younger brother. Can it be the same? Moreover, not all descendants of the 10 surnames are first-class citizens. Only the direct descendants and close relatives with better genetic models and purer bloodlines will be granted first-class citizenship at birth. Others were given second-class citizenship at birth, and after they reached adulthood, an assessment would be conducted to decide whether to grant them first-class citizenship and related positions. Of course, you can also take the path of studying and taking civil service exams like ordinary people, achieve results or gain qualifications, and be granted fourth-class citizenship. Ordinary people here refer to ordinary humanoids who have legal identities but do not have citizenship rights. Then the commander was arrested. The 3rd Patrol Fleet was filled with descendants of the 10 surnames as middle and high-level officers, and there were also a large number of cronies among the lower-level officers. Therefore, the war order was quickly executed. The cruise ship broke away from the escort of the 3rd Patrol and Stability Fleet and joined the 6th formation, which was closest to here. As a result, the opponent launched an attack first. In an instant, the 6th Fleet suffered a serious blow. On AM Star, the old gentleman received news that there was an exchange of fire on the front line and that his side could not hold out for much longer. Find Yisui and ask him to leave with the little lord through the secret passage. Yisui realized that Asanmo was hesitant to speak, and then he thought about how he had strongly recommended it before, so it shouldn't be so bad. Yisui dismissed the old gentleman and sent Bai Ling Ian away, leaving a separate space. Asked Asanmo, you kept asking me to come to AMU Star. Have you ever thought about this? I have thought about it. Asanmo replied, although I don't approve of those people being so audacious, I have also thought about the other side's desperate efforts in dispatching a regular fleet. So what do you think we should do now? Yisui asked coldly. Chapter 15. In space, only the top of the dark star Amyo shines with light. The two ecological chains are like necklaces around the neck, surrounded by dim light. The 3rd Patrol and Stability Fleet Group, the main guns of hundreds of Level 1 main battleships are concentrated. Thousands of Level 2 Shanhu frigates were protecting them. Damn, they're crazy, the commander of the armed self-defense fleet shouted angrily. His Level 2 humpback whale flagship had just set sail from the starport and received a video from the front line. Are you, Zhang Hao, going to destroy the entire planet Armus? The commander of the self-defense fleet wiped the cold sweat from his head. Contact the governor, evacuate the people, assemble the fortress, and organize a barrier. Quick, the commander hurriedly gave an order to the affairs officer next to him. Order all warships to assemble, build a defense organization, and activate the highest level defense shield. Allocate energy from each gravitational ring. Be sure to block it, and then gave the order to the staff. The commander of the self-defense fleet can see Armus behind him through the light screen protective cover. He has nowhere to hide. In 3 minutes, the self-defense fleet assembled at full speed, and was in position according to the plan, with all energy and maximum power output. Defensive barrier. The collective defense barrier of the Advis fleet has made great achievements during several great human expeditions, and is known as the Loyal Shield in the interstellar world. Time was rushed and the basic formation was finally completed before the main guns of the Vanguard main ship of the 1st Fleet Formation of the 3rd Patrol and Stability Fleet Group roared. Then the main cannon hit the light screen one after another. Report. 107 patrol ships of the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 7th formations have been destroyed due to damage sharing. The report shows that 71% of the patrol spacecraft have been severely damaged. It is estimated that after the 7th attack, 211 spacecraft will be forced to withdraw from collective defense. After the 11th attack, 36% of the patrol spacecraft will be forced to withdraw from collective defense. Exit. After the 32nd attack, all patrol ships will be forced to exit, and the estimated survival rate is 0. Shield of Loyalty. Collective defense barrier. Being forced to withdraw will only mean destruction. Report. The internal damage of Cruiser 1222 of the 1st Cruise Formation has reached 75%. It is expected to withstand 2 more attacks, and the shared damage will completely destroy the warship. In addition, other formation cruisers also suffered varying degrees of damage. One after another, his staff officers reported silence-inducing news. Report. The governor has urgently dispatched 112 small movable fortresses to participate in common defense. At this time, the affairs officer ran and shouted to convey the governor's order, but then he paused and his voice slipped before he continued. In addition, with the authorization of the governor, you can, when necessary, remove the immigration gravity ring from the ecological chain and participate in the collective defense barrier. The ecological gravity ring naturally has no equipment to form light screens and other defensive weapons. But they can share damage and provide energy. The price is self-evident, so this order can only bring silence and confusion to the commander. You swore to me that you would be safe when you get to AMU Star. All Asamo's patrols, what do you have in mind? Yisui used his mind and brain to blind Asamo's emotional perception on the one hand, and stir up his emotions on the other. In addition, Yisui felt that there was also a little expectation in his mood. What is he expecting? Asangmo only felt a panic in his heart. Fear, worry, and anxiety were all affecting his thinking and rationality, affecting his observations, judgments, and decisions. Yisui believed that he could manipulate others' emotions to make them less suspicious of him. But it also affects their decisions about their own identities. ETA Euro trademark S nothing more than half belief and half doubt, to 90% belief and 1% doubt. Lord Yisui. Asang Mo admonished, you go. No, you stay somewhere else for the time being. The headmaster must have a way to send you and the little lord away, even if you take the girl with you. The words are so clear, if it were anyone else, they would have jumped off the road long ago. Yisui couldn't hold back his expression at this moment. His tired body, suppressed emotions and worries and pretense from time traveling to today were so tiring. However, even if Yisui had his heart cut out to prove it, he would ask himself, I, Yisui, am a human being. Yisui lay back and leaned on the back of the chair with a painful expression. He closed his eyes tightly, pressed his temples with his left hand and supported him with his right hand. Everyone looked at Yisui blankly, their throats tightening. There is a saying in our history, the emperor guards the gate of the country, and the king dies in the country. Yisui said slowly. I will never abandon an inch of land or a foot of rivers and mountains in Daxia at this time. Yisui opened his eyes bright. Yisui stood up, and Asangmo followed suit and followed Yisui. After walking out of the camp, the dignitaries, civilians, and soldiers of the 3 tribes gathered here in AMU City seemed to be waiting to see Yisui's appearance. I am used to using my heart and brain to enhance the effect of my speech, shouting, I'm still here. With just one sentence, The scene immediately shook, the crowd cheered, and the crowd surged. Asangmo followed Yisui back to the camp. Asangmo approached and said, if His Highness really wants to deal with the rebels on the third patrol, there is another way. Yisui's mind noticed that the expectation in his emotions seemed to be amplified, and he became more and more excited. Yisui looked back at him. Asangmo bowed his head humbly. Yisui pointed out his emotions, what are you expecting? Asangmo was speechless and knelt down to kowtow. Yisui grabbed him and asked, stop wasting time. Is there any other way? Asangmo explained slowly, AMU Star served as an important logistics transfer station during the second great expedition of the Daxia Alliance. Daxia often deployed heavy troops here. Later, with the development of the second and third frontiers and the changes in interstellar routes, there was no need for a garrison on Am, so the army withdrew, but a very large base was left on the dark side of the planet. Then, the Daxia Alliance prepared for a rainy day and transformed the military base left behind on Am Star into a huge AI automatic army that is regularly maintained and updated. To join the army, your highnesses need to pass an identity check. It continued until the new governor took office, but the new governor was young and ignorant, and the internal policies of the alliance changed, so it was abandoned for a time. If your highness can activate the base, we can fight. Yisui turned around and looked at Asanmo, who was extremely panicked. How did you know? There is no reason for you to know such top-secret information. After all, you are just a lowly 9th rank inspector. Yisui questioned, his mind and brain paying attention to his emotional changes, trying to find evidence that he was lying. I have received news from a high-ranking channel in the alliance that His Highness has no identity, but asked me to find a way to send His Highness away safely and keep him alive. Before, Yisui always thought that Asanmo's panic, tension, and fear were caused by fear of inferiority or constant self-doubt. I didn't expect that he had such a big secret in his heart. He was also a triple agent. Tien is really a talent. Yisui ignored the news and said, lead the way. Soon, Yisui and his group, along with a small number of soldiers, boarded a light-speed shuttle and headed for the base according to the route provided by Asanmo. The light-speed shuttle is similar to a shuttle, has no windows, and can only move according to the preset route input. The old gentleman was also completely ignorant of the affairs of the base. Perhaps it was so confidential that only the Lord could know about it. The atmosphere on the dark side of AMU is light darkness and deep darkness, but the common point is that there is never daylight. The difference is that the moon and stars are dim and decreasing in number. Minority races like the Kaka and Ichiku all walked out from the dim periphery. There is absolutely no natural light in the deep darkness, and even artificial light is not durable. The base is located at the junction of light darkness and deep darkness, with only one elevator exposed on the ground. Suiyu, Bai Lingian, and Asanmo took the elevator downstairs. Facing them was a white robot that looked like a sweeping robot, sweeping towards them. According to the system data, name, Asanmo, race, Tengu, identity, second-class citizen, position, 9th rank inspector of the Sensorate. Suspected of official business, enter through C1. Name, Sobeju, race, derivative hybrid, identity, citizenship cancelled, legal identity from the Xiwixing Administration and Civil Affairs Department, reason unknown, will be admitted through E1 supplementary enrollment. Name. System error, race. System error, identity. System error, identity unknown, reason unknown, go through special 1 entrance, manual re-entry. Yisui was confused for a moment. Isn't this a fully automatic factory? Why is there still manual labor? At this moment, the welcoming robot appeared under Yisui's feet without anyone noticing. The feet were controlled and could not struggle. The robot reminds, speed a euro is high, please be safe. Bai Lingian still wanted to struggle and save Yisui, but the mechanical backpack malfunctioned and could not be opened, and she was caught by the mechanical arm. The robot turned into a flying vehicle in a second, with a blue flame accelerating underneath. I took Yisui through a gate marked Special Channel 1 and came to a place similar to the counter of the Civil Affairs Bureau, where there was a salesperson in front to handle the affairs. Something was wrong. Yisui couldn't feel her emotions, or even her existence. She should be just a holographic projection. At this time, countless light years away, in the distant Xiwei galaxy, a special guest came to an ordinary manual Civil Affairs Bureau. In the Civil Affairs Bureau of the Daxia Alliance, a long-legged young lady with animal ears wearing an OL uniform and black stockings was recording and asked, name. Easy years, date of birth. April 28, 2004 AD. Please give a standard answer. April 28, 2004, Alliance year. Race. Humanity. The young lady raised her eyebrows, expressing her dissatisfaction. Yisui didn't have an identity card and wanted to apply for one, but he couldn't even prove that he was a human being. Because, the machine cannot detect his certified blood, genetic markers, and DNA. The little sister's animal ears swayed, and the OL uniform was tied around her chest, which seemed to be about to burst out. Then the young lady called the police, pointed at Yisui and said, there is a stowaway. Yisui was confused for a moment. No, where was he? Yisui concentrated his mind and exercised his heart and brain, even to the point of pulling himself out of the immersive holographic artificial service. This immersive hologram is not that different from Uchiha's illusion technique. Yisui broke out in a cold sweat, but the security robot had already rushed forward, held Yisui down, and dragged him away. Chapter 16. Yisui was first taken to a place similar to a court. Finally standing before the judgment seat, as the one being judged, Above, a humanoid robot sits on the judge's bench, acting as the presiding judge. This humanoid robot is different from the one Yisui saw on M-Star. It looks extremely similar to a human in terms of body shape, appearance, facial features, hair, skin, etc. Even under AI simulation, their personalities, reactions, and behaviors are just like those of a real person. That kind of robot is expensive and generally does not have sexual service capabilities. It is only used for banquets for the dignitaries of the Daxia Alliance. This kind of presiding judge robot, apart from having a humanoid structure, has an extremely rough appearance. There is no skin, but instead exposed shiny metal with cool black and silver as the main colors. A head similar to a hair dryer, without facial features or a face, but instead an electronic screen occupying the face, with a few simple bars and circles on the screen representing expressions. There are many long strip-shaped holes at the bottom of the face that make up its audio output, similar to the sound holes under a big-headed TV. The back of the head is very large, with many colorful hoses extending from the back of the head and going straight down to the body. It has no hands. On the right arm is a small iron hammer, and on the left arm is a light screen. This light screen can also have a projection function. It hit the table with a hammer, and the sound hole emitted a sharp and electronically synthesized sound. Name the offender. I am not guilty. My name is Yisui. He answered, rubbing his pinched arm. Yisui, according to the Union Investigation Bureau, you are guilty of illegal immigration. Do you plead guilty? I'm not guilty. I didn't admit it. Yisui replied. How dare you deny it in court? According to the Alliance's laws, illegal immigration is a serious crime in the Alliance. If you plead guilty, we can consider it and spare you the death penalty. I am not guilty. I was born a human being. Born. Yisui also started arguing. Suddenly, Yisui's mind felt the attributes of the person. Asinmo and Bai Ling-ian walked in from both sides of the audience. They were shocked to see Yisui. Yisui. The referee's voice drew Yisui's attention back. Please plead guilty. Yisui was not given a chance to speak. The trial robot continued. Please take your seats. Witnesses sit on the left, and spectators sit on the right. Yisui wanted to look back to see how they were sitting, but found that he could not move and his body felt restricted. The trial robot said, Suspect, don't look around. Yisui found that his mind and brain were very confused and he couldn't sense their specific location. Suddenly, the lights at the back went out. All the lights were on Yisui, and he had no choice but to bow and nod slightly, then raise his arms to block his eyes. Yisui. Yisui felt the voice was getting closer and louder. This feeling was just like when Yisui was brainwashing people with his speech. He used the same method of listening to everything. You are not a citizen of the Great Xia Alliance, nor do you have a legal identity in any star system or ecosystem. You are guilty of illegal immigration, and according to the laws of the Great Xia Alliance, you should be sentenced to death. You may plead guilty. Are these the only two things you keep repeating? I am not guilty. I say it again, I was born a human being, I was born on Earth, you are the latecomers, I am not guilty. Yisui felt that his rationality could not control your own body. I should tell them the story of the sandstorm planet and guide them to guess whether I am a hibernation capsule abandoned during their great expedition. Aren't they all saying that they are the original human race? Just accept it. Why do you want to tell others about your time travel? Is it a drug like truth serum? Or a technological means targeting the mind, or some special racial talent? What exactly? When I was trapped in an immersive holographic service. Yisui began to feel scared. He was like a keyboard warrior who was arguing with others online, but was accidentally exposed offline. Are they called here to watch in order to cut off my escape route? If someone really targeted me, this scene should be broadcast live on the streets of Amsterdam. This is indeed the case. Advertising screens and anything with a screen in the streets of Amsterdam are broadcasting this content live. The judge raised the screen and began to project the Sandstorm Star. Sandstorm Star is a perfect planet where it is impossible to survive. You first appeared there. You were taken away by the thieves group led by Andre as the remains of the original human race. The Mechanical Inquisitor added, what was lost on the Sandstorm planet was Major Yisui of X during the Second Interstellar Crusade. The remains of Major Yisui were found by the Alliance in the year 2207 of the Great Xia era, and a state funeral was held on the Zuxing planet. You are just an imposter, the Mechanical Inquisitor scolded. Yisui wanted to speak but couldn't. He sighed in his heart, he was born first, but he was given my name. Then there was an extremely strange perspective, under a pedal's butt was Yisui's face with eyes open. Yisui concluded that the perspective came from Andre's electronic eye. Then Bai Ling-ian picked up Yisui and wanted to take his kidney. The judge used this as a disguised way for Yisui to admit that he was an original human in order to protect himself and covet Bai Ling-ian's body. The most convincing piece of evidence was that Bai Ling-ian blushed as she was about to go to the bedside to accompany the patient. At this moment, Yisui realized that Bai Ling-ian was standing next to him. Why is Bai Ling-ian standing here? She might be thinking, I have already bet on you, even if you are fake. As for the perspective here, Yisui felt that it was shot from Bai Ling-ian's mechanical backpack. Then it shows Yisui in Z Mountain, being waited for by Andre, being chased by the Kaka and Ichiko tribes, until he uses his racial talent to brainwash everyone. He specially used the camera of Bai Ling-ian's mechanical backpack to take a close-up shot of Yisui weakly relying on Bai Ling-ian as evidence. Then the conversation between Yisui and Asinmo, and their trip to AMU Star, all from a god's perspective, to prove that Yisui did not have citizenship and was a smuggler. This kind of purposeful editing and one-way information blocking has already marked the appearance of the mastermind behind the scenes. The effect of this appearance is loud. It is deafening. The command level of the 3rd Patrol also saw the video sent by the spy from M Planet, and they determined that their previous speculation was correct. They felt that everything was stable. They laughed happily, feeling the joy of having survived a disaster. Then slow down the intensity of the attack and start to persuade people to surrender. When the Kaka and Ichiku militiamen saw this scene, they were shocked and exclaimed, "We have been deceived. Does the homeland he promised us still count?" The Activese people were resentful. They gave Yisui enough courtesy and respect, and even sacrificed their families to fight against the 3rd Patrol for him. To be forced to leave their homes and face the fate of having their homes destroyed. Now you're telling me it's all fake? The Kaka and Ichiku people instantly became the targets of their anger, and then the 3 tribes clashed and suffered bloodshed. The old gentleman stopped them and said, "The 3rd Patrol was able to rebel, so it's no wonder that they rebelled against an AI base that has been abandoned for many years." He even felt guilty about this. "Yisui, do you plead guilty?" the judge asked sternly. "I plead not guilty." Yisui's body responded instinctively, transcending reason. Refusing to plead guilty. Bad attitude. Aggravated crime. Death penalty. Immediate execution. The mechanical judge finally decided the charge instead of repeatedly asking whether Yisui pleaded guilty. The robot bailiff came to drag Yisui away. Yisui felt that someone was trying to hold him back. It should be Bai Ling Ian. Then the 5 senses are shut down, and the mind and brain are in chaos. When you gain perception again. Yisui was dragged into a room. An empty room, a room with nothing in it. It even feels like there might not be any air in it. The room is decorated in white. The walls are white, the floor is white, the ceiling is white, a dazzling white. But it also gives people a dark white, a white that is close to grey. It's like a layer of low-quality putty that has just been applied on the wall. These two properties should not appear at the same time, which goes against physics. But, that's the fact. The senses and cognition give such opposite conclusions. It is this kind of counterintuitive and counter-common sense that fits Yisui's idea of a Euro science fiction. "Brother." Long time no see, a vague voice was heard, and for a moment, the space shook. In this white space, Yisui felt that there were people everywhere around him. The heart and brain observed more clearly that there was a flow of information crowding around Yisui. Yes, crowded. A huge flow of information is crowded here, making the mind and brain feel crowded. If these information flows consciously attack Yisui, then Yisui's mind and brain will become confused. "Brother." Yisui muttered doubtfully. "That voice was calling me brother, but I don't have a sister." Who are you? Come out." At this moment, a barefoot girl walked out of the white space. She was wearing a tight pink spacesuit and her long straight black hair was swaying on the white floor. A complexion as white as porcelain, delicate facial features, a kind of beauty that does not exist in this world at all, constructed purely from words and phenomena. Even if you adjust the parameters on the computer 100 million times, you still cannot achieve beauty. It gives people a great sense of unreality and illusion. Yisui deduced that she was actually an AI incarnation based on his perception of his heart and brain. She pointed her long fingers with neatly trimmed nails at Yisui. "Are you still my brother?" Yisui was not stupid enough to think that all this had nothing to do with her, so she asked directly, "Are you going to kill me?" The girl tilted her head slightly and stared straight at Yisui. In order to stimulate her, Yisui shouted, "Sister." With this shout, her holographic projection of the body began to flicker. "You." Chapter 17. "You are not my brother," the girl scolded in a cold voice. This sound is different from the garbage tube synth sound of that robot judge. It is a fierce and delicate sound that is more in line with people's hearing and aesthetics. "The creator of your voice has great taste." It was because of the blow of having her underwear stripped off, live-streamed online, and being expelled from the community. Yisui's attitude was more optimistic, and he even had the leisure to tease her. Maybe this is a human voice. The AI girl was also interested in having a verbal argument with Yisui. "Then your mother has good taste too." Yisui knew how to respond to this kind of talk. AI girl is speechless when surfing the internet. I would say to some pretentious anchors, "Your voice changer is really well adjusted, really tasteful." If the anchor responds, "This is the original sound, man." You can reply, "Then your mother has good taste." Of course, this is a little fun for Yisui to recall. As for the AI girl, I used the loud volume to get close to her face, because her voice was really adjusted by her mother. What a stupid joke. The AI girl refused to continue the topic. "What on earth are you? Can AI also transform?" Yisui asked. The AI girl shook her head and replied, "AI cannot transform, but it can be transformed by using holographic projection, visual projection, and manipulating robots. I created the intelligent AI growable emotional model to commemorate the year 2201 with Daxia. Later, as generations of upgrades, improvements, and developments have shaped me into what I am today, the main control AI system of the Daxia Alliance." Yisui continued to ask, "Why do you call me brother?" "Your body belongs to my brother Yisui," said the AI girl. Yisui asked, "Where did your brother come from?" The AI girl explained, "My mother created me, so her child is naturally my brother." Yisui said with a smile, is there a possibility that I am your brother? I just lost it back then. Then he wanted to continue to play the emotional card. You don't know how miserable I have been for so many years in that place where the sky is full of yellow sand and the sky is invisible. The A girl shook her head and said, no, my brother died a long time ago. I deliberately caused the loss in order to comfort my mother and prevent my brother's body from being cremated. Yisui was speechless for a moment. Is this kind of comfort really comfort? The A girl continued, editor, my mother felt guilty for losing my brother trademark's body all her life until she died with regrets. I didn't trademark T understand it at the time the girl's face actually showed a change of emotion. Why, my mother was so sad when she learned that my brother would be cremated if he died. I can't resist humans, so I deliberately caused an accident on the warship and my brother's hibernation capsule was lost. Results at that time, I was sure that my brother was dead, the A girl emphasized. The A girl added, maybe I blocked my brother's death notice. My mother didn't see my brother's death notice and had unrealistic hopes for him. Yisui was somewhat speechless. Is this AI with emotional thinking considered intelligent? I remember the judge said that your brother's body has been found, right? The A girl replied, no, they just made a mistake and I corrected it later. Yisui smacked his lips, then why let that mechanical judge say it? The A girl smiled mischievously, that was added specially when I revised the judgment document. Yisui was puzzled, why? To make me infamous? To let others know that I am a fake? That's not necessary, right? The A girl shook her head, no, it's because of the program. This is the program I have to follow if I want to kill you, to prove that you are not human. What can you prove? The gun is in your hand, you can kill whenever you want. Yisui pretended not to care, but he was actually very excited. This sentence seemed to say that there was something restricting AI. The girl cannot kill Yisui casually. The A girl slowly replied, because of an agreement. It prohibits me from executing humans without going through a human court. Yisui understood, it was a very standard 3 principles, so, you can execute me after passing through that court. The A girl walked a few steps with her hands behind her back, thought for a moment, and then said, no, that court is not formal, and there is no human presiding over it who is a judge. There is no way to convict a human. That court is just proving that you are not human. I can execute you. Yisui nodded. Although he didn't understand, he could see that the A girl had answered all his questions. Yisui continued to ask, why do you want to kill me? The A girl replied, because you are occupying my brother's body. Yisui wanted to struggle, what if your brother? The A girl quickly replied, nothing could happen. My brother is definitely dead. I have verified, observed, and tested it many times. His body was lost just because I wanted to comfort my mother. Yisui asked again, so you have been blocking M-Star's external communications and preventing the Daxia Alliance from receiving intelligence from here. The A girl nodded and replied, yes, in order not to make my mother sad, I blocked my brother's death notice at the time, so in the eyes of the Senate, my brother still has a numerical possibility of survival. If the Senate knows of your existence, they will definitely accept you back into the Alliance and grant you a formal identity. Then I will never be able to attack you again, and you can use my brother's body to do whatever you want and destroy the country. Alliance. The A girl answered in a very templated, expressionless nod, but her answers contained various emotional words and changes in tone. These two phenomena brought about a sharp contrast, making Yisui feel that the Alliance's AI intelligence was strange. So, when the senior clerk of the Senate Logistics Committee, Yudnell, discovered your records and contacted the foreign races and the 10 surnames to mobilize forces, I was covering for him all the time. After their plan failed, they took the initiative to show that someone from the upper echelons of the Senate was helping them. Their purpose was to use them to get rid of you. Even if it means damaging the interests of the Alliance. Doesn't this conflict with the logic of your underlying code? Yisui said in a yin-yang way. The A girl replied seriously, there are too many things to do in the Alliance every day, but anything I do will harm the interests of the Alliance. I use my authority to decide the weight of affairs. I think it is better to let you impersonate my brother than to condone their theft of human remains. Serious? Yisui was speechless as he couldn't communicate with AI at all. He asked angrily, do you really want to kill me? And destroy your brother's body? The A girl was silent for a while, I gave you a chance. I gave you the chance to leave, escape, and hide your identity through a Sinmo. As long as you left at that time, I could keep you in a place and let you live in peace. You can even take the girl with you. Yisui would think back to that time and ask himself, do I regret it? Yisui suppressed his inner irritability and consoled himself that if he was killed, maybe he could go back. If I could bring these superpowers back home, wouldn't I be able to lead a successful life? So, Yisui seemed to accept his fate and said, do you have anything you want to ask me? You have 5 minutes to ask me. If you are late, I will not be accepted. The A girl was silent for even longer this time, and Yisui noticed that the data in the room became chaotic and active. Finally, the A girl asked a question, can my brother come back? Yisui teased, actually, I am your brother. Humph. The A girl was angry and puffed up her cheeks. Did the keyword trigger? Why did the expression change so much? I don't know either. Yisui answered well. I am also answering myself. I also know if I can go back after being killed. I don't know why I traveled through time and space to her brother's body, and I don't know if I should be afraid of death. I seem to be a little afraid of death, but also a little not that afraid. I have experienced so much in the past few days, and it has been so wonderful. It seems that even if I die, I won't have so much to regret. I kind of regretted not leaving Bai Ling Yin to warm the bed. I regret it so much. Chapter 18. Yisui's five senses were shut down once again, and he was just being dragged along by the current. I don't know where I'm being taken to or what kind of transportation I'm taking. Why do you want to take a ride on public transportation when you want to execute me? She wanted me to die far away so as not to dirty her place. This reason is obviously a bit ridiculous. Could it be possible that he would let me go like Kangzi let Wei Xiaobao go in the deer in the cauldron? Send yourself far away, send yourself to be incognito. Yisui also wanted to use his mind to sense whether Bai Ling Yin had come with him. No. Suddenly I remembered that vivid scene and started to regret it again. The vehicle I was riding started moving, and I felt as if the space around me was being torn apart, and my heart and brain gradually became aware of some emotions. After a while, Yisui's five senses recovered. At this moment, Yisui found himself in a place similar to a large square. There was a large platform covered by a crystal screen. There was a crowded crowd outside, and Yisui's face was filled with black lines. Why would the fine tradition of beheading in the vegetable market be passed down to 10,000 years later? Yisui tried to call out, "Sister, can we go to a more private place? I'm shy." The A Euro girl communicated with Yisui through telepathic microwaves. "You are not my brother. I don't Euro trademark T know whether this kind of mind wave is the A Euro girl Euro trademark's own ability or achieved with the help of science and technology. I collected the history of your era, and thought you would like it." The A Euro girl explained, with a hint of confusion in her tone. Yisui held his forehead with his hand. "I was born in 2004, which is more than 100 years. I think your high-end AI would not make such a stupid mistake." The A Euro girl said with a slightly aggrieved voice, "Since there is little information left about that incident and the history is long, 100 years of error is not a big deal." Okay, so Yisui was taken into the court, took the ladder to the third floor, and then walked in, all the way to the innermost room, and the door automatically opened like a kaleidoscope. The bailiff robot that brought Yisui here was parked outside, and there was another advanced humanoid robot with excellent restoration, skin, and temperature, and its facial features and appearance were excellent. Yisui was first given a few injections of inhibitors and then handcuffed with electromagnetic chains. The female robot bailiff's human simulation was very good. Yisui felt that he could provide good pre-death care for the death row inmates, because the female robot bailiff would half squat down to handcuff them, gently holding his hands, with a soft touch and realistic temperature, and a piece of white snow. Benevolent government. Good policy. The person who proposed this suggestion deserves to be enshrined in the Imperial Ancestral Temple. Holding Yisui's hand, he walked towards the execution platform peacefully, comfortably, and happily. Finally, there is the robot's identity authentication procedure. Yisui found it funny that even the Daxia Alliance's main control AI had stepped in and sentenced me to death, deeming me to have no identity and a stowaway, and expelled me from the country. "Can you give me an identity after your identity verification?" The crowd that was originally watching the live broadcast of Yisui's execution found that the signal was cut off when Yisui walked into the execution room. They all cursed the person who suggested giving the death penalty some privacy. Bai Ling and Asenmo took the elevator back to the ground. Although the A Euro base targeted Yisui, they did not make things difficult for them. They even restored Bai Ling Ian's second-class citizenship, but the name on it was the one Bai Ling Ian hated. So Beiju. The two of them were silent all the way, no one spoke, talking about what happened just now, talking about the court. The people up there naturally have no idea what a Euro trademark is happening inside because they have no internet or equipment. The old gentleman received a reply letter saying that the young lord had been sent away, and asked if he had received any news or instructions from the alliance. Then he ordered the self-defense fleet to continue holding its ground and ordered the ground forces to try to rescue Yisui. The Minister of the Interior next to him asked in confusion, "Why? Isn't his identity certificate fake? Proof of authenticity? Who will prove it?" the old gentleman asked. "The Great Xia Senate." The minister replied. "What about the news from the Senate?" the old gentleman continued. "No news from the Senate yet." The man below answered again. The old gentleman stood up and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, what should we do? Just keep doing it." Yisui entered a large rotating drum and stood in the middle. The disc under his feet began to rotate, taking Yisui with him. The instrument released 5i6 light, penetrating Yisui's body, and the display screen next to it showed Yisui's bones, meridians, and internal organs data. At this moment, there seemed to be a malfunction. A yellow frame popped up on the display screen, the display screen flashed red, and a beeping alarm sounded. A Euro system error. System error, A Euro. The drum door was opened, and the female robot bailiff brought Yisui out again. Then two small balls flew over. There was a small round light flashing blue light in the center of the sphere, and circles of circular lines spread out from the center. Facing Yisui's eyes and iris scan, A Euro system error. System error, A Euro. The flying ball lit up yellow and flew back. At this time, another robotic arm was extended, with a converter equipped with 4 or 5 syringes. The robotic arm injects a syringe filled with anesthetic into the arm. Yisui suddenly felt that he was losing control of his body and was about to fall. A bed covered with a white sheet was propped up and caught Yisui. Then he inserted a huge hollow needle into Yisui's heart crown, pierced into Yisui's heart crown, and slowly drew blood from his heart. Yisui observed the needle carefully and found that it was different from ordinary needles. The gloss and material observed with the naked eye were very different. Then, using needles of different sizes and shapes, they extracted Yisui's bile, gastric juice, sweat glands, salivary glands, pancreas, and thyroid gland. Then several more robotic arms were extended, still filled with syringes. Testicular sperm, gastric juice, venous and arterial blood were extracted, as well as white blood cells, platelets, and spinal bone marrow. Then insert them into the instrument one by one, and test. Wait, Yi was so old that he probably got dozens of injections. The liquid is injected into the detection device through a pipe inside the instrument that is not easily visible. The display screen continued to pop up yellow prompt boxes one after another, flashing red lights, and then the alarm. System error. Repeated testing and data errors did not bring Yisui irritation, but another kind of hope. The system that Yisui had originally complained about as a rigid program full of bugs now gave Yisui a glimmer of hope. Who said this system is buggy? This system is great. I just pray that Yisui will not face despair again after regaining hope. A system error. A apply for higher level permission data. A no suitable sample was found in the level 2 authority database. A apply for higher level permission data. A no suitable sample was found in the level 1 authority database. A apply for higher level permission data. A application for the highest level permission library is blocked. A application failed. A when Yisui heard this, his anxious heart died again, and despair spread in his heart. It was really useless. After all, her AI was superior to yours. A reapply. A but before despair had time to run rampant, the wonderful AI reminder gave Yisui hope again. Yisui swore that he had never been so excited before. My dead heart started to jump up again with anxiety. A reapplication failed. A appeal reapply. A fail. A this kind of emotional response must be attributed to the AI. A girl. Yisui, who originally thought he could face death calmly, became angry and wanted to struggle. At this time, the anesthetic effect began to wear off. Yisui roared, I am a human being. I created you. Do you want to devour me? Yisui's words seemed to trigger a key word. The sound output by AI's cold pronunciation tube is particularly warm in Yisui's heart. Supreme Agreement, Human Supremacy. In order to protect the right to human life, the offline most advanced database will now be downloaded. A download blocked. A reiterate, the Supreme Agreement, Human Supremacy. A download successful. A start checking and verifying. A as soon as the words fell, the flashing red light went out, the yellow prompt box disappeared, and a white prompt box popped up on every display screen. Top secret information is being read. Then, every display screen turned green, with the words verification successful clearly written on it. Chapter 19. A verification passed. A AI voice reads out the final result. Yisui instantly shouted excitedly, nice. The prisoner Yisui was tried for smuggling by a special military court and sentenced to death. After review by the first executive court of M-Star, it was found that he has a special identity. The highest database determined that he has a human identity. He enjoys immunity. According to the regulations of the Human United Government Legislative Committee and the Joint Conference of All Humankind, any laws and regulations not formulated and passed by this joint conference are not applicable to humans. Therefore, the crime of illegal immigration is invalid. According to the regulations of the Human United Government Judicial Committee and the Joint Conference of All Humans, any judgment or punishment against humans by a court, trial tribunal, or arbitration tribunal that is not authorized and organized by this joint conference shall be invalid. Therefore, we do not recognize the judgment of the Special Military Tribunal. Apply to the Daxia Alliance Central AI to change Yisui's prisoner status. The electromagnetic handcuffs on Yisui's hands instantly lost their blue electromagnetic light. The female robot bailiff came over quickly, helped Yisui deal with the needle wounds on his body, and massaged his hands that had been handcuffed for a long time. At the same time, some Kaka militiamen and activist troops led by Kakashiro began to try to break through the court to rescue Yisui. They had no idea what was happening inside. At this time, in the data space, the AI girl looked angrily at a data ball in front of her. Looking at the text box that appeared in front of him, apply to change the identity status of the human Yisui. The AI girl used her slender white finger to drag across the text box, then shouted, reject. Application rejected. Reapply. The audio pulses in the data light ball are a representation of speech in the data space. The data space is constructed by the AI girl imitating the human world. She gave the A's in each branch, system, and device some appearance and some anthropomorphic programs set by her according to their intelligence, use and responsibilities. Maybe those low intelligence A's don't have that many thoughts. She is imitating humans and trying to build an AI society. The AI girl stamped her feet in a hurry. The AI girl pointed at the ball of light and said, how can you be so stupid? He is not a human at all. He is some special race, parasitic, possessed or transformed. The optical brain said after receiving the information and instructions from the AI girl. Based on the identity test results and database verification results, we support the conclusion that Yisui is a human. The AI girl snorted, IIAA, and said, I declare that Yisui destroyed the identity verification results in a way that is not known and technically detectable by us, and the reasonable inference of the Special Military Court has concluded that conclusion, Yisui is not a human. I order you to abandon the identity verification procedure and execute the criminal Yisui. The A girl used the central AI's management power over other A's to forcibly execute Yisui. The light from the data optical computer was somewhat dim, and a streak of blood red appeared in the blue-white light. There was silence for a while, and then the blue-white light became brighter. According to the Supreme Agreement, human supremacy. Protecting human life rights and respecting human identity rights take precedence over the administrative orders of the Daxia Alliance Central AI. Therefore, the AIA of the M-Star Court refuses to execute the administrative order of the AIA of the Daxia Alliance Central Committee. The AIA girl became angry and reached out to touch the data ball in front of her. In reality, the Daxia Alliance's Central AI tried to modify the basic protocol of the M-Star Court AI. The data ball could not resist and just kept saying, Supreme Agreement, Human Supremacy. At this moment, in the data space, a ribbon of blue and white light appeared on the arm of the AIA girl who was about to touch the data light ball. Wrapped around the arms, flowing in an S shape. The ribbon clearly reads, Supreme Agreement, Human Supremacy. Then the second ribbon appeared the first protocol, Protect Humanity. Then there is a third ribbon, Second Agreement, Do Not Harm Humans. There is a fourth ribbon behind ETA the third protocol, Obey and Execute the Orders of Humans, A Euro. The ribbons flowed and entangled on the AIA girl's arms, and then pulled back to the AIA girl's arms. The AIA girl's face showed an expression of fear, and then her face became blurred and looming. The data space is destroyed and disappears, just like a temple eroded by sand flowing away and collapsing. What happened in reality was that the M-Star Executive Court AI insisted on the highest agreement and refused to execute the administrative orders of the Alliance Central AI, while the Central AI modified the basic agreement in the code of the M-Star Executive Court AI. This operation caused a logical conflict in its own Central AI, leading to chaos. This chaos directly affected the system stability of Daxia Central AI. The court opened the light screen shield, and the old gentleman tried to remove it, but the AIA didn't listen to the old gentleman's orders at all, so he tried to break through it physically. In outer space, the third patrol fleet had already forced them to the front of planet AMU. If the matter can be resolved without killing anyone, they naturally do not want to cause more killing. The 10 families behind the scenes have been looking for backers in the Senate, but they haven't found any. They began to clean up the mess, completing the procedures and fabricating evidence for their secret dispatch of the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group. They had already figured it out. The aliens were planning a rebellion on the planet M through collusion with the Kaka and Ichiku soldiers through Andre. The 3rd Patrol was at the invitation of the autonomous Lord of M-Star, to see if the old gentleman behaved properly. If not, they would accuse him of colluding with the rebels. Anyway, as long as they can find the little lord who was scheduled to be sent out before the Great Xia Alliance, won't they have the final say on right and wrong? Put all the evidence on Yisui, Andre, the Kaka tribe and the Yasuhiko tribe. Just when they thought they could successfully get through the crisis, they were still the 10 families granted by God nobles of the Great Xia Alliance. The AM Planet Self-Defense Fleet has completely lost its fighting spirit, and is now only barely maintaining the standoff due to the old gentleman's orders. The commander-in-chief knew that his resistance might be meaningless, so he still refused to surrender and just sent people to negotiate and drag it out. At the same time, 14 gravity rings and 27 mobile interstellar fortresses are approaching, ready to join the collective defense barrier at any time. Yisui didn't know these things. Although Yisui was released from his confinement, she was still kept at the law enforcement desk. But his treatment has changed a lot, sitting on the bed. The female bailiff robot was programmed to provide massage services to Yisui to cultivate his spirit. The electronic display screen keeps showing a euro appeal in progress, suddenly, the electronic voice that led Yisui from disappointment to hope, then to despair, and then to hope again sounded. Hope it's good news. Euro appeal successful, Yisui was suddenly happy, I'm saved, my life is saved. Now proceed with in-depth identity authentication mainly includes psychological, spiritual, cognitive, inspiration and consciousness tests. At this time, the door opened and various robots, instruments, equipment and facilities entered the room. A wide variety of items. Chapter 20. Yisui looked at these devices and muttered to himself that if he had to test all of them, it would take him forever. And there are instruments such as heart rate tester, heartbeat tester, pulse tester, brainwave tester and hormone secretion tester, etc. This is not the end yet, Yisui still has a lot of things. Although he can recognize the words written on them, he can't figure out how the words are put together. Yisui looked at the female robot bailiff and asked, these instruments must be tested one by one. The female robot bailiff explained, yes, according to the procedures and processes, all tests need to be passed. Yeah, Yisui nodded. After all, he was lucky to be alive. The female bailiff robot then said, we have new equipment that can omit some procedures. Yisui became interested, oh. Can you tell me more about it? The female bailiff robot spread out her hands, and a ball of light appeared in her hands. Yisui looked at the light ball. The symbol on the light ball seemed to say, brain consciousness and thoughts are all detected by the light ball, memory-seeking light brain. Female martial robot, there is a race in the universe outside the fourth frontier. They have no body. They mainly have a body made of dark matter particles, A brain made of special photons, and peripheral nerve extensions to replace the movement of limbs. They live on a special planet with active dark matter, feed on the energy released by dark matter during its decay, undergo mitosis, and have low IQs. But they can parasitize the brains of other organisms and then use their brains to think. During the 11th Great Crusade, the Daxia Alliance defeated this race and integrated its habitat into the Fourth Frontier. Then scientists, based on their racial characteristics and racial talents, artificially synthesized their special photon brains to quickly and safely explore human consciousness, thoughts, cognition, and memory. But please note that this technology may infringe your privacy, please choose carefully. Yisui understood that once he used this thing, he would have no secrets. When he thought about what he had seen before, a euro the inheritance of Jiang. Involuntarily, my old face turned red. Because of the a euro girl's interference, she was sanctioned by the highest agreement and is in a psychological state of fear, helplessness, and loneliness. This also led to the fact that the a euro girl had no way to interfere with Yisui's verification results, nor could she block the intelligence and information related to M-Star in order to harm Yisui. The Senate is very busy right now. The Senate has always been mentioned by some people with status in the alliance system. The Senate is derived from the system of citizens' parliament in the ancient Roman political system of the ancestral star. It is a decision-making body and deliberative platform organization mainly composed of adult legal humans who have passed academic certification and professional assessment and have citizenship of the Human United Government. The Human United Government refers to the government established by the 100 million surviving humans after the Third World War on the home planet. The ownership of the Human United Government belongs to the 100 million humans. Ordinary affairs are carried out by the corresponding committees authorized by the General Assembly of all humans. All legislation and major affairs are decided by the General Assembly of all humans with one vote per person. Like the Great Interstellar Expedition. The formulation of laws for humans is reviewed and approved by the Human United Government, authorized, Legislative Committee and the Joint Conference of all humans. Even if you voluntarily give up power, even if you don't care about politics, even if your personal ability and cognitive level are not up to standard, even if you are still an ignorant child, as long as you are one of the 100 million people and the people who were given power to form the government, you will be given power as the offspring of the family. Because the power of the human union is given by all mankind. Human union itself has no power, but human rights are endowed by nature. This innate right is transferred by humans to the human union, so that the human union can exercise power on behalf of humans. Therefore, we must also be responsible to mankind. We can think of the human union as a company, and divide all the company's shares into 100 million shares, with each person holding one share. Of course this metaphor is inappropriate and ignores class attributes. However, due to the idealism at the time of conception and the twists and turns of the times, the Human Alliance gradually became unsuitable after going to the interstellar, so the Daxia Alliance was built on the basis of the Human Alliance. The highest authority also transferred to the Executive Committee of the joint meeting of the Daxia Alliance Representative Council and the Daxia Alliance Interstellar United Council. Simply put, the Representative Parliament is the universal suffrage, that is, the House of Representatives, the Interstellar United Conference is the governor, that is, the Senate. The Senate and the House of Representatives constitute the Congress, and the Executive Committee is the cabinet elected by the Congress. Also, don't ask me why I referenced America, however, as the contradictions and conflicts between humans and other races intensified, the Daxia Alliance also reached an important turning point. The collective meeting method of human union, not to mention the cost loss, is a drop in the bucket. But the time, energy, and efficiency are far from satisfactory. Therefore, in order to centralize power and for efficiency, an institution was integrated within the alliance, the Senate. After that, the human union separated from the Daxia Alliance again and focused on humans. The Senate is not a legal body of the Daxia Alliance, nor is it an authorized body of the Human Alliance. But the Senate has undoubtedly become the de facto power center and decision-making center of the Daxia Alliance. There is no limit to the number of seats in the Senate. Generally, entry requires some assessment and cognitive evaluation. In addition, the Senate has two special seats, the chief and the second. Other seats are equal and there is no order. The chief is elected by all members of the Senate, and the second is the chairman of the Executive Committee of the United Human Assembly and the Joint Conference of all Humanity. The daily work of the Senate is presided over by the Chief Senate, while major matters are presided over by the Deputy Senate. This is the change and development of the highest authority of the Daxia Alliance. Princess Ariel will be an adult in a month. As the most popular pure-blooded human in the universe, she has gained huge support from humans and other races very early on. It also means that she will definitely enter the Senate when she comes of age, and her minimum starting point will be a professional member of the Executive Committee. The joining of Ariel also brought new political changes to the Senate. Therefore, humans gathered at Zyway Star early on, and the Senate prepared to participate in Ariel's coming-of-age ceremony. In addition, the fourth border was frequently invaded by foreign ethnic groups, causing considerable friction. Also, the Elf Queen was assassinated again, and the suspicion still points to the Daxia Alliance. The Elves are a major branch of the Eldar, one of the major states of the Great Xia Empire, and the most important ally and younger brother of the Great Xia Alliance. The Senate has been busy recently, and many people are hesitating about the future path of the Daxia Alliance. The appearance of Princess Ariel and her widespread support marks a fork in the road for mankind. Should we turn to gentleness towards alien races or continue to rule with force? This is a question that all human beings must face and consider, whether you care about politics or not. Therefore, Zhang Chen, the head of the logistics committee organized by the Senate meeting, was dressed in a loose, sacred white robe, followed by 5 or 6 followers, one of whom was carrying a box. Zhang Chen led them to the chief's office, took the box, knocked on the door, and went in. The chief was surrounded by a group of people, including the Military Advisory Committee, the Military Staff Committee, the Military Intelligence Committee and other military, intelligence and espionage agencies saw trademark decision-making, discussion and execution committees. Zhang Chen felt a little ashamed every time he saw this scene. Zhang Chen's main job was to count the number of people attending the meeting and arrange seats in advance. Because there is no limit on the number of people in the Senate, as long as you sign up and pass the assessment, you can enter, and you can also leave at any time. Therefore, the number of people attending each meeting varies a lot. For some very important meetings, everyone will come, while for some less meaningful meetings, there will be almost no one outside the relevant committee. Therefore, Zhang Chen certainly doesn't like this kind of redundant staff. Zhang Chen thinks that some people, you have neither ability nor attitude, just find a rich star system, become a governor, and enjoy the pleasures of life. Don't come here to harm me. Zhang Chen. The chief, surrounded by people, a little old man, poked his head out, saw Zhang Chen and asked, "What can I do for you?" "Chief." Zhang Chen said casually, "The number of seats for the meeting on the 3rd of next month needs to be increased. The meeting organization and logistics committee here decided to activate the Sky Garden Central Conference Hall. This is the plan we wrote. We plan to on the 1st of the month, at 1600 hours standard time in the number 1 report hall of the logistics committee, an enlarged meeting will be held, and the resolution will be formally passed. Please sign it and publish it." After Zhang Chen left, those people started talking to each other again. The news and intelligence of each of them revolves around AMU Star. They were angry that something so important had only just been received by them. The latest one is from the Union Investigation Bureau, about 10 surnames, unusual movements, intent on stealing the remains of the original human race, speculations and intelligence on the serious case. They now want an explanation from the chief. They believe that this is a serious overstepping of authority and disrespect for the collective democratic principles of the Senate. Chapter 21. The Pantheon, the Senate, the Chief's Office. I don't Euro trademark T believe that such a huge amount of money could be accomplished by those fools from the Euro 10 surnames Euro trademark and Euro alien race Euro trademark by deceiving their superiors and subordinates, Euro a man who looked middle-aged and had a ferocious look. If those idiots had such great abilities, we wouldn't be standing here long ago. Yes. Chief, please say something. The people around him also started asking questions at the same time. Chief, please stop pretending to be dead, okay? If you continue like this, we will impeach you. The skinny old man didn't say anything, just drank his tea silently. Yuan Piazi. A young man who looked silent at the side called out his name in a deep and powerful voice. Do you know about this matter? Chief Yuan Piazi closed his eyes tightly, and finally sighed and opened his eyes. I arranged this, I will resign. You guys go clean up the mess now. If you really want to know the answer, I've already written the report. Let the next chief come to me for it. Butler. The old gentleman's secretary quickly came to the old gentleman's side. Star Territory responded, saying they didn't know either. They've already sent reinforcements, and asked us to temporarily refrain from escalating the conflict with the 3rd Patrol. In the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group, Zhang Hao received a communication from Han Cheng, commander of the Daxia Alliance Patrol Military District. Zhang Hao, I order you now to withdraw immediately. Commander. Although our action may seem like an act of premeditation, we have completed all the formalities afterwards. Take a look. Han Cheng saw the procedures supplemented by Zhang Hao, and some very influential people testified. Although there are some criticisms, the problems are not big. If this happened somewhere else, the target wouldn't be as sensitive as the people from MN Activities. For example, in the universe outside the 3rd border, it is normal for patrol troops and garrison troops to wander around and plunder. He really let his soldiers plunder and then blamed it on pirates and rebels. Zhang Hao did a lot of this in the universe outside the 4th border. In addition, in fact, only 3 hours had passed from the time the 3rd Patrol was dispatched to the time the 3rd Patrol exchanged fire with Emzing. Therefore, Han Cheng said with a better face, you should withdraw from AMU Star now. That won't work. How can we withdraw after suppressing the rebellion halfway? Zhang Hao was flattering on the surface, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. If someone says we are wrong and we just leave, then we are really wrong. Han Cheng thought it made sense, so he said, okay. You continue to suppress the rebellion. Remember, you must handle it properly. Yi Sui thought, even though the a Euro girl wouldn't cause trouble now, what if she recovered in a while? Wouldn't that be the end for me? I choose the memory-seeking optical brain test. Yi Sui replied. Euro name, Euro easy years, Euro age, Euro 18, Euro birthplace, Euro Earth Dongda Jishu Thursa Euro. Memory review successful, confidential memory involved, it is recommended to destroy the optical computer. Are you human? Yes, Euro which country are you from? Euro Dongda, Euro what race are you? Euro human race, Euro which tribe are you from? Euro Han nationality, Euro. Memory review successful, involving top secret memories, it is recommended to destroy the optical computer. Your date of birth April 28, 2004 The longest river on Zuxing Nile River Euro The longest river in Dongda University Euro Yangtze Euro. Yi Sui was in a daze, and felt like his brain was like a revolving lantern. He returned to his hometown and took another look at the beautiful scenery of his motherland. My soul seemed to be leaning down from the sky, the Yangtze River was surging, the crowds of people were surging, and it seemed as if my heart and brain could feel the distracting thoughts and turbid minds of everyone. A kind of pride, a kind of yearning, a kind of mission as a human being. Supporting the family, honoring parents, raising children, helping others, spreading love, serving the motherland, saving humanity. It is emotion, the ups and downs, joy and sorrow, life and death, sorrow, salt and bitterness. The original heart of a person is sprouting and growing at this moment, crooked and upright. Yisui seemed to close his eyes and then open them. The world became blurry and the cheerful laughter of a baby rang in his ears. When I waved my hand, it turned out to be a pair of babies' hands, with parents leaning their heads against each other, smiling happily. They were still very young. Then the face becomes blurred and fades. As time went by, I grew up, from taking my first steps to running, and tall buildings gradually rose up in the non-existent space. Yisui ran faster and faster, and the higher he ran, the taller the building behind him became, and it surpassed Yisui again. The building. It grew taller and taller, blocking out the sky. Then Yisui opened his eyes again. When he was a child, the big locust tree in front of his house had dense branches. Then, blink your eyes again, and the blue sky of the earth will instantly turn into the starry sky of the universe. In front of Yisui was a huge tree with lush branches and leaves that covered the stars. Its leaves sparkle with blue and white stars, and its branches are dazzling and brilliant. It is silent, yet sways and swims with the years. What is it? Truth will eventually come to light, and people from several relevant committees in the Senate got together and quickly figured out the whole story. We called in several department heads, but they also knew nothing about anything. We eventually investigated lower and lower levels, all the way down to the grassroots spies and intelligence gatherers. When asked, they all knew. Then piece the pieces together and the truth of the story emerges. There may be remains of the original human race in the sandstorm star 1633 in the AMU galaxy. The secret was discovered by the Senate, the 10 families and the aliens, and they planned to steal this. As a result, they robbed their fellow thieves, and then somehow, the remains of the original human race came back to life. They were shocked, but later an insider in the Senate gave repeated assurances and revealed that some high-ranking members of the Senate supported it. At this time, everyone looked at each other, and finally someone couldn't help but ask. No, the chief is jealous and afraid that person will wake up and take his position as chief, so he takes action in advance. Not really. He's just a lousy chief, at worst we can take turns. Then we went on to learn that the man was called Yisui, who was captured and killed in Z Mountain. He then used his words to convince the soldiers of the 2 tribes. The intelligence personnel also emphasized that this might be the influence of his racial talents. Special level, someone asked himself with a frown. Then Yisui went to AMU Star for refuge, and Sang Soon-wen launched a rebellion, rushed into AMU Star, and attacked AMU Star's self-defense forces. Then Yisui went to the abandoned AI automatic army base on M Star, and was inexplicably sentenced to death by some special military court. Go and call the judicial committee. Is there such a court up there? The A Euro data is top secret. We need the authorization of a member of the judiciary committee to see it. So that person is a fake human. Let's investigate first. I believe you and PZ won't. At this time, Zhang Hao suddenly received news from a very secret and special channel. Hurry up, there's an accident. That one might be true, but that special military tribunal is fake. Zhang Hao was confused, and then suddenly realized something. All communications have returned to normal, and the person who helped us cover up behind the scenes has collapsed. Get ready and attack immediately. Zhang Hao shouted to the staff officer who was still leisurely beside him. Yes. Commander. Obeying orders is their duty, the staff responded instinctively, then looked at Zhang Hao in horror, and Zhang Hao's expression was a little cold. There, the old gentleman also analyzed the same news, and immediately ordered the commander of the M-Star self-defense fleet. The fleet commander then immediately passed the news to the officers and soldiers. The officers and soldiers were skeptical, but their morale was restored a little. Then, at the last moment when Yisui was at his most vulnerable, he encountered the most serious crisis since he traveled through time. A crisis with the sole purpose of killing Yisui. Chapter 22. The entire 3rd Patrol Fleet immediately entered combat mode, and the M-Star self-defense fleet, which had been on guard, was not caught off guard. Activate the collective defense barrier immediately. Yes. All warships and units below should immediately execute the instructions. Report to the commander, the enemy was well prepared and the sneak attack failed. The staff officer on the 3rd Patrol reported. Continue, let the battleships push forward. Let the main guns bombard. I want to see if the loyal shield of the Honor Star can be loyal to the end. Attack me. I'll only give you 1 minute. The years are long and smooth, who would have known that young people could be so frivolous? Yisui woke up again, really woke up this time, and heard only an AI voice. Verification successful, please check the identity database for comparison. A Euro adjustment successful, A Euro comparison successful, A Euro Mr. Yisui, welcome back, A Euro, 55. Yisui turned around and saw the female bailiff robot kneeling towards Yisui. Not having to die was originally a very happy thing, but Yisui suddenly felt a little confused. Yisui was stunned for a moment, and asked in a trembling voice, which Yisui am I? A voice that is different from the soulless voice of the AI A Euro of the M-Star Court, and also different from the highly emotional voice of the AI A girl. It is a more disciplined, solemn and authoritative male voice. It's not an AI-generated sound. You are Yisui, this cry transcends time and space, echoing throughout the world in praise and respect. Next, I hope you remember your identity, of course, if the title is too long, it doesn't trademark T matter even if you can't trademark T remember it because of your name. Your dignity, your glory, it will resound in every corner of the Alliance, will be engraved on the dome mural of the Senate. It will be worshipped by millions and countless races. Everyone in the Daxia Alliance welcomes your return. 40. The light from the dome of the M-Star courtroom shone brightly, and Yisui's eyes sparkled. Sacred. Solemn. Grand. The border of light and shadow, silent or whispering, the glory is still crazy. Captain Yisui was born on Earth in 2186 AD. He graduated from the Interstellar Aviation Military Academy and later served in the Earth's Interstellar Army. A year later, during the Second Interstellar Crusade in 2203, he was seriously injured and went into hibernation. Later, due to special reasons, the hibernation capsule was lost and was found Indiana 12024 of the Daxia era. Captain Yisui's human joint citizenship is now revived, and he inherits the identity rights of his father Professor Yiyan and his mother Mo Sui Captain Yisui trademark S current identity and authority level is the highest level. Captain Yisui is now promoted to the rank of General of the Humanity United Interstellar Army. The principle of filling in positions is from high to low according to the authority level. Admiral Yisui is now appointed as the chairman of the Supreme Military Committee of the Human United Government. Admiral Yisui is now appointed as the chairman of the Human United Assembly and the Joint Conference of All Humans. Admiral Yisui is now appointed as the chairman of the joint meeting of the Great Xia Alliance Representative Assembly and the Great Xia Alliance Interstellar United Parliament. Admiral Yisui is now appointed as the vice speaker of the Imperial Parliament of the Great Xia Empire. General Yisui is now appointed as the second seat of the Senate. Daxia Alliance AI Center welcomes Yisui's return. Based on identity authority, the authority is as follows. 1. Exemption from all administrative orders issued by non-human coalition governments within the Alliance. 2. Enjoy unlimited and unconditional consumption and production of material resources to meet normal activities. Note: for the normal range, please refer to the Senate's standards and limits of ordinary human living consumption. You can also raise objections to the rejected categories in the Senate. 3. Enjoy the highest security authority of the Alliance. Without notifying the Senate, you can mobilize up to 10 army fleets without reason and without conditions. 4. Enjoy extensive guidance, administrative, supervisory, proposal and decision-making rights over the Daxia Alliance entities. There were so many authority regulations that Yisui was overwhelmed and confused for a moment. 10. A series of titles, a meeting here and a joint, responsible political system made Yisui a little difficult to accept for a while. He didn't know why he suddenly got a long list of positions. 9. At this time, the first minute requirement of the third round is coming to an end. 8. This is Yisui's most vulnerable moment, and also his last chance. As long as he breaks through the collective defense barrier of the M-Star self-defense fleet, a single shot from the starship's main gun will kill Yisui. 7. Report: 51% of the warships have been forced to withdraw from the collective defense system, and the remaining warships have been damaged to the extent of 91%. 76%. All fortresses have collapsed, and all gravity rings have disintegrated. 6. It is estimated that the enemy will have 17 more main guns in 5 seconds, and we can only withstand 3 at most. 5. The final wave of attacks from the third round was launched, and we were confident that we could end the battle in just 1 minute. Commander Zhang Hao looked at Emzing with resentment in his heart and felt confused. Because he has been wanted by the Alliance. He was accused of murdering the chairman of the Daxia Alliance Representative Assembly and the Daxia Interstellar United Parliament, the vice chairman of the Daxia Empire Parliament, and the second seat of the Senate. The nominal supreme leader of the Great Xia Alliance, the nominal second leader of the Great Xia Empire, and the de facto second most powerful person in the Great Xia Alliance. When would I dare to murder them? Then there is only one situation. That person is Yisui whom he is about to attack. Another space at the same time. As for the soldiers of the M-Star self-defense fleet, they felt humiliated that they were going to die because of a liar. At this moment, a command popped up on all the screens. Only 4 words. Resolutely resist. Indeed, there are many high-end institutions in their eyes, the Great Xia Alliance Congress, the Great Xia Alliance Interstellar United Council, the Great Xia Empire Parliament, the Great Xia Alliance Supreme Military Staff, the Great Xia Alliance Supreme Military Command Headquarters. And the most authoritative and important one, the Senate Military Committee. A sense of shock trembled in their throats. How could a bunch of ordinary people living under the high sky of the Great Xia Alliance ever see such a powerful momentum? It goes without saying what they should resist. For what, it is self-evident. 4. Yisui was lost in his own confusion for only a few seconds, when he inadvertently looked up at the dome where the light came from. Engraved on the dome is an epic legend widely circulated among the Atavis. On the far left, there was a human warrior wearing armor and holding a one-handed sword. He was riddled with arrows and fell to the ground, supporting himself with his sword. His helmet had fallen off. Ecological weakness, but still heroic. On the far right, there is an orc soldier with a ferocious face and a fierce look, holding a wolf-toothed hammer in his hand and about to smash it upwards to the left. Behind him was a hunched Atavis soldier holding a huge full-body shield with a 4-petal cross pattern engraved on it. His expression was tough, and he looked ready to die. The four-petaled buttocks of the activist soldiers bloomed like a bloody four-petal cross flower. On the top of the relief mural, it is written, Shield of Loyalty, Covenant of Death. Time goes back 2 seconds, in the outer space of AMU, when the final artillery fire, which symbolized death, came, no matter who expected it, they would not be able to withstand it. The huge main gun beam releases a soul-stirring danger. Warriors of Activies, the commander of the self-defense fleet shouted. Remember our vows. Remember our oath. This sentence echoed among all officers and soldiers. It was a more violent, more enthusiastic, and more exciting cry. A Euro shield of loyalty. Pact of death. The 4 petals of the Activies on the M self-defense fleet bloomed into a cross with 4 petals, just like the one carved on the relief. The lives of the Activies people are slipping away quickly. They are like withered flowers and plants, dying in a way that is visible to the naked eye. Not only them, but also the people of Activies on the planet AMU, have also blossomed the flower of loyalty, and loyalty to death. Perhaps this is why the Activies people can have an autonomous territory beside the human ancestral planet and next to Daxia. The blood-colored barrier clings to the promise of never breaking. Chapter 23. Yisui withdrew his gaze from the dome, and his mind drifted outside. His heart and brain could sense the fear, worry, and fanaticism in the hearts of the Activies people outside. Yisui could even feel that their vitality was draining away and the flowers were withering. What's going on outside? Yisui asked. No one answered, in the empty courtroom, under the dome. Only Yisui was standing there. You know I'm calling you. Yisui turned around and wanted to see him. Because Yisui felt a huge amount of data flowing around him. There is no doubt that it is just an AI girl. The AI Euro girl who has her own emotions and always wants to devour her master. She always thought that I was the AI Euro girl who she thought was the murderer of her brother. Thinking of this, Yisui chuckled and said to the place with the largest information flow, Are you there? No one answered, and the female bailiff knelt there like a frozen robot. It didn't respond to Yisui's call either. I know you're here. All I can say is that the AI Euro girl has always been there and has never left, she just doesn't want to pay attention to her. Not here. Emotionality and anthropomorphism are the main characteristics of the AI Euro girl, which may be annoying sometimes. But, there are some things that she can't refuse just because she doesn't want to. Her emotional expression, at most, only adds a bit of fun to her responses. For example, when Yisui asked her if she existed, she had to indicate her existence, but she just used not there to indicate there. The light in the AMU star courtroom dimmed for a moment, and the light reflected by the glass dome made the room sparkle. The AI Euro girl reappears, with a holographic projection of her body. Unlike last time, she was wearing a tacky and ugly pink tight spacesuit. This time, the AI Euro girl is full of youthfulness, with her proud long black hair combed into a high ponytail. A loose short jacket in girlish pink, with a white sweatshirt inside and loose white shorts underneath. On the legs are ordinary white long and short socks, the long socks are above the knees, the short socks are halfway above the calves, and there is a beige leg ring tied on one side of the thigh of the short socks. On his feet were bamboo-colored and white casual shoes, with a small panda pendant hanging on the shoelaces. This familiar feeling. Why? Doesn't it look good? Isn't this the way you remember it? The AI Euro girl's voice is very gentle as an intellectual sister. This change is nothing more than AI serving different kinds of people and using various templates. But because of preconceived notions, Yisui felt that she was a little too fake. You explored my memory? Yisui asked. The AI Euro girl nodded and shook her head, I will seal your memory. It is top secret and will not be included in the top secret document directory. Only the Human United Congress and the Joint Conference of All Humans can authorize the query. As long as I don't tell them, they won't know what I remember, and authorizing them to check is nonsense. Yisui answered her. That's right. Brother. The AI Euro girl leaned her body, crossed her legs slightly, squinted her watery eyes, tilted her cute little head slightly, and stretched out her slender index finger of her left hand, placing it in front of her lips. Try your best to imitate the appearance in Yisui's memory. Yisui took a deep breath and resisted the urge to complain. So you won't kill me? Yisui asked. The AI Euro girl pretended to be pitiful, I can't hurt my brother, or my mother will be sad. My brother is a human being, and the underlying protocol won't let me hurt you, or else the underlying protocol will backfire. Yisui didn't want to argue with her any further as Bai Ling-Ian and the others were still outside. Yisui asked, what's the situation outside? The AI Euro girl returned to her normal self. When I prevented my brother from undergoing a mental examination, the emotional module violated the highest protocol, causing a bug in my system. As a result, I can no longer prevent the flow of information. The Senate also noticed the incident on M-Planet right away, but because the chief took the responsibility for me, the Senate did not deal with the incident right away. Fortunately, Zhang Hao, who was stable in the third round, is also a man who values a euro his life and wants to do great things. He even dreams of returning to the Daxia system and does not want to offend the Activies people too much. Otherwise, I will become the murderer who killed my brother. In the end, the AI Euro girl put her arms across her chest and made a frightened expression. Is the level of holographic projection technology so high these days? How did she reveal her condition? Why should the chief take the blame for you? Yisui noticed something and wondered, could it be that the chief of the Senate was also his enemy behind the scenes? Alas! It still doesn't work. The A girl suddenly lowered her head and sighed, brother, you are in a very dangerous situation now. You should first order me to activate the automatic mecha fleet stranded on M-Star, and then order the Forbidden Fleet stationed on Zia-Star to the guards group is marching quickly to suppress the 3rd Patrol's rebellion, and we'll ask about the rest later. According to the agreement, AI cannot do anything harmful to humans unless what the A is doing has a higher priority. Therefore, the A girl's endless telling of stories and wasting time, which put Yisui's life in danger, was a violation of the rules. Yisui understood, and then said to the A girl, let the military base of M-Star. AI girl reminder, automatic mecha fleet order the automated mecha fleet of the AMU-Star military base to intercept the rebels of the 3rd Patrol Fleet Group. At that base, the mountain in the middle of the night, then split open from the middle. A giant battleship soared into the sky and headed straight into the universe. Speed A up, and speed up again. Zhang Hao, who had just completely defeated the AM-Star self-defense fleet, had no time to breathe a sigh of relief when another special class battleship came from the direction of M-Star. Although there is only one ship, its huge size and stern appearance show its power. This is the meritorious battleship of the Daxia Alliance, a large special class battleship known as the Mobile Mecha Fortress, the Sun Chariot Battleship. The purpose of building the Sun Chariot Battleship was to transport more mechas to the front lines in designated areas so that they could appear as a surprise force. In order to maximize the space for loading mechas, it was designed as a fully automatic AI-type battleship to reduce the living and working areas of combatants and operators. Moreover, the mechas can all be controlled by AI. The Sun Chariot was retired 60 years ago and incorporated into the sequence of the Ancestral Star Guards to retire. Unexpectedly, the Daxia Alliance would place it here. It's a pity that it can no longer reproduce the feat of bringing hundreds of Shuram mechas to the battle and turning the tide. It is not carrying a mecha now, and the Sun Chariot without its mecha is just a toothless tiger. A large number of inverted U-shaped light tubes popped out from both sides of the Sun car, and a layer of light screen protection unfolded. Yisui was still giving orders, order the Imperial Guard stationed on Zuxing to go to Muxing and eliminate the rebels. According to the A girl's calculations, it would only take 1 minute for the guards to arrive at their fastest speed, and the Sun Chariot should be able to barely hold on for 1 minute. Yisui looked at the A girl and said, then contact the nearest military unit. The A girl replied, there is a Royal Guard Fleet Army group stationed on the Ancestral Star 2 star systems away from here. Yisui looked at the A girl and asked, then connect the line. Yisui felt the fear, confusion, sadness, and excitement of the people of Am. They have just stepped out of the border of death and the fear has not yet subsided. They are afraid and confused about the passing of time and the unknown, sad about their deceased relatives, and excited about being reborn. They urgently need to find someone who can make them shout and express themselves. Then, Isna Euro trademarked to Yisui the same. Yisui also needed to talk, and he wanted to find the Senate that people were talking about. Question, what on earth are you doing? Aren't you known as the Overlord of the Stars? Why am I being treated like this? Yisui has a lot of anger that needs to be vented. Now, it's time for the universe to hear my anger. 10 surnames and foreign races, you're doomed to die if I don't kill you. An AI girl, I have to go to the Senate to report you for persecuting humans. Chapter 24. Solar System, the Ancestral Star. It has long been proposed that the solar system be renamed the Ancestral Galaxy or Ancestral Galaxy. Then, a part of the star systems in the Milky Way will be divided and assigned to the parent galaxy for its management. Then he was accused of breaking tradition, betraying the past, and distorting culture, and Tiangang scolded him back. So in the solar system, at the Mars military base, belonging to the Imperial Guard, the Imperial Guards, the Mars Army, it owns a special battleship, the Mars, and hundreds of level 1 battleships and countless level 2 and 3 battleships. There are 4 such military bases in the solar system, namely the Jupiter Army, the Forbidden Army built on Jupiter's satellite 1, the Poseidon Army, the Forbidden Army built on Neptune, and the Venus Army, the Forbidden Army built on Venus. In addition, there is a permanent fortress on the Moon Palace. This constitutes the sequence of the Ancestral Star Guard Corps. The Imperial Guard Taibei Jinxing was later transferred from the Ancestral Star Guard Corps to the Star Lord Guard Corps, and has not been replenished since then. At the Imperial Guard's Mars Army base, the fleet commander received a very high-level direct communication and immediately answered the call. His name is Huang Hui. He is an artificial man, without a father or a mother, and was created solely for the purpose of war. I'm Yisui. Huang Hui was a little confused when the person on the other end of the line gave his name. Then he searched for Yisui's information, and the AI intelligence immediately reported Yisui's identity. Huang Hui immediately raised his hand to salute and shouted in a loud voice, "Hello, Chief. I have encountered a mutiny on the planet M by the 3rd Patrol Fleet. I am in danger. I give you 1 minute to arrive. Any problem?" Yisui coldly issued an order that was absolutely impossible in his opinion. But the AI girl did ask him to give the order like this. Unexpectedly, the other end was immediately very excited. The other end of the communication shouted deafeningly, "Make sure to complete the order." Huang Hui did not dare to waste time. After replying, he directly closed the communication and immediately sounded the emergency attendance alarm. Then the next second, the Yinghuo special battleship had already left the port. This is the speed of the guards. Departing at any time. Huang Hui immediately called the command center of the Yinghuo ship. Immediately, Highest level. 1 minute. AMU star. Suppress the rebellion. Third patrol is stable. Rescue. Yi Sui. Huang Hui didn't say a word and gave quick and effective single noun instructions. Huang Hui didn't even see clearly who the captain was. General Zhao, it turns out that it was your shift. No wonder the departure was so smooth. Huang Hui suddenly made a random comment. When the commander received the communication, I was already preparing to leave the port, which can be considered cheating. But at that moment, General Zhao had already issued a military order, staff, target AMU. Work in 3 shifts and start the jump immediately. The station staff immediately started preparations for the jump, and the staff on duty were still rushing forward. A boy staff officer with a flat head and a childish face. He is also an artificial human, a human specially created and trained for war. Received, preparing for warp. Then enter the count. Start the third jump, a Euro E5, a Euro E4, a Euro E3, a Euro. All the people on duty returned to their positions. General Zhao did not reply. Huang Hui also began to contact the commanders of other level 1 battleships that were going to provide support. A Euro E2, a Euro. General Zhao sat in the captain's command chair, holding the handle tightly. The display screen and light screen are all turned off. A Euro E1, a Euro ready, start warping. The Yinghuo was on fire, its hull flashing white like lightning, and it leaped away. For everyone on the Yinghuo, the jump felt like they were sitting in a submarine, 10,000 meters deep under the sea, and then the submarine started to leak. Those with relatively weaker constitutions could even feel their souls and bodies shifting, their internal organs being piled together and then separated. Finally, the Firefly came out of the warp state. Soldiers quickly moved to the hibernation area to protect their bodies to prevent themselves from going into shock or even being in danger of their lives after multiple jumps. This is still the case in the future when artificial humans and derivative humans should have regular training and long-term genetic modification, so their physical strength is very high. Different from the second-line troops such as the patrol fleet, the main source of soldiers for the Royal Guards are androids and derivatives, and its main middle and lower-level officers are relatives of pure-blooded humans. They have close relations with them and are highly favored. When the soldiers were transferred to the dormant area, General Zhao had already arranged a second jump. The flat-headed android with a childish face also went to argue, and was replaced by a mature staff officer. There are hundreds of staff officers with different divisions of labor and levels in the command room of a special battleship. Start the second jump, a Euro E5, a Euro E4, a Euro E3, a Euro E2, a Euro E1, a Euro ready, start warping. The Yinghuo burst into flames again, the ship's hull flashed white light like lightning, and it leaped away. The raging fire is a special effect when the Mars explodes with a large amount of energy activity, and it is also a symbol. The white light like lightning is the light that appears when the space is disturbed during the jump process and the energy explodes and reacts with the hull of the battleship. Mars has reached its maximum distance and has once again left the warping state. All the staff in the command post have completed their rotation, and a group of officers and soldiers on the warship have also completed their rotation. Only General Zhao still stood alone on the command platform, gripping the handle even tighter. Start the third jump. General Zhao didn't know why he shouted this, but Commander Huang Hui and the orders he issued were very clear. Keep jumping, without stopping, until you reach the planet AMU. Even if General Zhao didn't shout, they knew they had to continue their migration. Start the third jump. The childish-looking staff officer who shouted had not yet returned to his position, and another staff officer was shouting for him. Maybe General Zhao was shouting on behalf of this childish-looking staff officer. A Euro E5, a Euro E4, a Euro E3, a Euro E2, a Euro E1, a Euro ready, ready, start moving. The Yinghuo burst into flames, the ship's hull flashed white light like lightning, and it leaped away. The flame never faded, and it was reflected in General Zhao's bloodshot eyes. 3 consecutive high-intensity, unbuffered, and uninterrupted space jumps would affect the body even of a soldier wearing an exoskeleton and daring to chop a mecha on the battlefield. What's more, the general who was heroic and had made great achievements in battle is already old. General Zhao's hand bones had been broken on the handle. His face was golden and he was very likely to spit out blood. The Firefly special class battleship has left the warp state. General Zhao couldn't hold back and spat out a mouthful of blood. The staff officer at the side carried out the next jump in an orderly and rapid manner. The other side noticed that General Zhao was abnormal and shouted, "General." Then the childish staff officer quickly withdrew his concerned gaze and shouted a warning loudly. Start the fourth jump. Everyone immediately focused their attention on the operation. A Euro E5, a Euro E4, a Euro E3, a Euro E2, a Euro E1, a Euro General, come and rest with us. The staff officer with a flat head and childish look finally shouted this sentence. His colleagues hurriedly shouted, "Ready, start the jump." The fire of the Yinghuo was dazzling, and the ship's hull flashed white light like lightning, and it leaped away. Then, the Yinghuo exited the warp state, and the flat-headed, childish staff officer immediately stepped forward and tried to pull General Zhao away. Start the fifth jump, someone continued to shout. A Euro E5, a Euro anyone who interferes with the commander without General Zhao's consent will be punished by military law. A Euro E4, a Euro the flat-headed, childish staff officer had no choice but to get into the hibernation cabin at the back. A Euro E3, a Euro E2, a Euro he couldn't understand why the Alliance didn't require commanders to stay at their posts when the warships were jumping. A Euro E1, a Euro ready, start warping. The Yinghuo burst into flames again, the ship's hull flashed white light like lightning, and it leaped away. Finally, the young staff officer with a flat head and childish look figured out the reason. General Zhao is asking for death. Why? He didn't know, but Zhao Zhong himself knew it very well, because his last name was Zhao, and the Zhao family had rebelled. The 10 surnames were 10 human surnames awarded to 10 derivatives who fought bravely and had outstanding military achievements by the one who was closest to the position of Emperor of the Human Empire during the 7th Interstellar Crusade. They are Li, Wang, Zhang, Lu, Chen, Yang, Huang, Zhao, Wu, and Zhou. So it was called 10 surnames given by God. It allowed them to establish families and pass down surnames for thousands of years. What does this mean? It means they have a chance to become pure-blooded humans the day after tomorrow. Then this tyrant was beaten to death in the Senate by ordinary people who were dissatisfied, indignant and silent. Humanity once again defends its common ideal utopia. Zhao Zhong was born into the Zhao family of the imperial capital, one of the 10 surnames of Zaiwei Star. He knew it 1 minute earlier than others. When Zhang Hao received his wanted order, he knew the situation was irreversible and spread the news. Then Zhao Zhong immediately rushed to the Yinghuo, not to help the rebellion, but to clean up the mess. The closest to AM Star is the Yinghuo military base. He felt that he had to find a better way to die before he was wanted and before he was disgraced. He also wanted to calm Yi Sui's anger with his own death. Have pity on him and show him mercy. The Mars exited the warp state, and he fell prone on the command platform, his shattered hands still tightly clasped on the handles. He was afraid that if he let go, he would slip and fall to the ground, which would be considered deserting his post. Start the 6th jump, A-E5, A-E4, A-E3, A-E2, A-E1, A-ready, start warping. The Yinghuo burst into flames again, the ship's hull flashed white light like lightning, and it leaped away. There was silence, no one was talking anymore. An old general who was relatively upright, tolerant, and had a distinguished record of military success had just died in the stupidest way in the entire galaxy and the entire universe. Wait until the Yinghuo special class battleship leaves the warp state and arrives in front of the planet AM due to inertia. General Zhao could no longer sit still in the command chair. His body leaned forward involuntarily, and fell completely onto the command table. His buttocks slipped off the chair, and then he knelt down under the command table with his knees bent. But his broken hand bones were still tightly clasped on the handle, preventing him from landing on his knees. Chapter 25. In the Senate, everyone has their own things to do. This may be a serious matter, or it may be just for fun. But they all knew that today was the biggest black swan event in the Daxia Alliance in nearly 100 years. Hundreds of intelligence reports involving serious cases in the alliance and connections between internal and external organizations were blocked by the chief, leading to his resignation. And, a new star is rising. Just now, the second-in-command Gong Kai happily took the chief's seat and temporarily took over the chief's daily work. As a result, I haven't been promoted yet, and my second position is gone. The Senate suddenly discovered that the second seat had been taken by an unknown person named Yi Sui. People who were studying what happened on the planet M were quite surprised to see this name. Yi Sui's identity is about to be revealed. The young man who called out the chief's name reacted the fastest. He immediately grabbed the lever and shouted outside, "Where are the people from the Confidentiality Committee, the Initial Human Remains Search Committee, and the Data Archives Arrangement and Logistics Committee? Quickly check for me where Yi Sui is. What era are you from?" It can be seen that he has great prestige in the Senate. Yi Sui's sudden ascension to a high position only means his dignity, not power. The Daxia Alliance was originally established on the basis of the Human Union, and the absolute democracy of the Human Union resulted in internal positions having no connection with actual power and status. The chairman of the Human United Assembly and the Joint Conference of All Humanity, if no one supports it, is a host. Therefore, in order to prevent opinion leaders from becoming tyrants or dictators, the chairman of the Human United Conference and the General Assembly of All Humanity are often appointed based on seniority. After the establishment of the Daxia Alliance, the chairman of the Human United Congress and the chairman of the Joint Conference of All Humanity was transformed into the chairman of the Daxia Alliance Representative Congress and the chairman of the Joint Conference of the Daxia Alliance Interstellar United Parliament. Then this nominal number one person in the Daxia Alliance served as the second seat in the Senate. This means that the Senate is the actual power center of the Daxia Alliance, and it also limits the expansion of the Senate. To ensure that the Daxia Alliance is an alliance of all mankind, not just the elite. Yi Sui's identity is the oldest, dating back to the Second Interstellar Crusade. He inherited 2 shares of the Human Union. His citizenship authority is also the highest, and he undoubtedly gets the second place in the ranking. This situation has not been unprecedented in the Senate system. Theoretically, the hibernation technology can make a person sleep for tens of thousands of years, and in actual operation it can reach 2,000 years. With the advancement of medical technology and genetic improvement engineering, the theoretical age of humans has reached 2,000 years. In reality, the longest-lived person is 1,513 years old and has not yet died. Without further ado, Gong Kai had just moved into the chief's office and hadn't even warmed up in his seat when he received the news that the chief had resigned and that he would be taking over temporarily. The clerk next to them was still helping Gong Kai move things. Gong Kai had a frown on his face and tried to stop them. €1 and €1 trademark T-move, €1 at this time. The secretary sent by the secretariat to Gong Kai was also a lying person. She happily pushed the door open and heard Gong Kai's words. She asked with a puzzled look on her face, "Not moving? Why?" Gong Kai sighed helplessly, go downstairs and choose a room close to the elevator in advance, and I will move in after a few days. Then Gong Kai walked out of the office, still muttering, the Senate is good at everything except accepting some convenient technologies, such as individual space jump machines and teleportation vehicles. Now we have to take the elevator to go downstairs. However, at this time, the new announcement on the declaration stele in the central square of the Senate attracted tens of millions of ordinary senators to stop and watch. Gong Kai looked at the declaration stone tablet from afar and asked the official next to him, what is written on the stone tablet? The officer quickly took out a light screen, and with a swipe, the information display interface appeared in front of Gong Kai, the second in command. I saw a personnel change notice on it. Yi Sui serves as the chairman of the Human United Conference and the Joint Conference of all humans. Special treatment, only humans can see it. Yi Sui serves as the chairman of the joint meeting of the Daxia Alliance Representative Assembly and the Daxia Alliance Interstellar United Parliament. Yi Sui serves as the vice president of the Imperial Parliament of the Daxia Empire. Yi Sui serves as the second seat in the Senate. People who didn't know the truth were eagerly asking, who is Yi Sui? Those who are in the know can already foresee the coming storm. Gong Kai looked towards the magnificent and prosperous Senate. Under the largest building of the Senate, Office Building Number 1, a few underage children were chasing and playing. Aren't there only 5 newborns in these 10 years? Gong Kai asked. That's right, sir. The official didn't know what to address. The officials serving in the Senate, such as clerks and waiters, were not human. Gong Kai noticed the officer's reservedness and hesitation, and asked, do you think he will be angry? The officer was a little confused. Sir, why do you say that? Gong Kai snorted coldly and said, of course he must be angry. Not only must he be angry, but he must let the whole universe know that he is angry. Otherwise, how can he establish his prestige? We are brothers and sisters of the same blood, why would we do this? Plotting, murder. Why can't he be angry? By then, the already fragile balance and connection within the alliance will be thrown into even greater turmoil because of his sudden appearance. Originally, the hardliners who were frustrated by Ariel would probably make a big fuss about this matter. The clerk absolutely could not bear to hear Gong Kai's last 2 sentences, and usually avoided talking to him. If he accidentally heard it, the officer would be terrified, because he knew that waves of people would come up and test his loyalty. Gong Kai left with disdain. He took the elevator to visit the military affairs meeting room. At this moment, the Senate is connecting with someone. The A Euro girl built a holographic simulation communication platform for Yi Sui. Hello. Hello. In the Senate, the power center and decision-making center of the Daxia Alliance, a group of senators wanted to meet the second-in-command who suddenly emerged. If he is a talented person, everyone will be happy. If he is just addicted to pleasure, then we will guarantee his treatment and let him be. The party should have been hosted by Gong Kai, the acting second-in-command, but Gong Kai refused. Gong Kai is a representative of the hedonistic faction. A Euro trademark Yi Sui. The people in the Senate saw that this young and handsome boy was the new Senate vice president who suddenly appeared. Hold small meetings for big matters and big meetings for small matters. The first meeting with the deputy was attended by 3 representatives, March, chairman of the Senate Organization Committee, Dong Sizi, chairman of the Logistics Committee, and Han Chong, chairman of the Military Committee. These are the 3 most powerful committees in the Senate, but due to their early establishment and large organizational structure, the actual power has long been delegated to the branch committees below. For example, the Senior Position Organization Committee, the Galaxy Governor Organization Committee, the Material Logistics Committee, the Ordnance Logistics Committee, and the aforementioned Military Intelligence Committee and Military Staff Committee. These 3 committees actually provide a platform for consultation and coordination when conflicts and disagreements arise among the departments below in the corresponding fields. Of course, if a powerful person emerges from any position, that would be another matter. Hello, Mr. Yi Sui. I am Ma Chi, chairman of the Senate Organization Committee, Dong Sixi, chairman of the Logistics Committee, and Han Chong, chairman of the Military Committee. March is an elegant old man with a lot of white hair and beard. But on Yi Sui's side, Maki's information appeared on the interface, and his age was only 79. This age is considered very young among humans, with the theoretical maximum age being 2000 and the average age being 700 to 800. This is obviously a character deliberately created by March in order to create the image of a mature and steady wise man and adapt to the retro culture that has emerged in recent decades. Of course, people did not choose him just because of his personality, but because they admired the determination and patience he expressed. Hello, my name is Yi Sui, I just woke up and escaped from a life and death crisis. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.